what's better than a bunch of, let's say, 10 or 11 operatives with a 3-up save, right? Like Hearthkin Salvagers. Striking Scorpions with a 4-up save. Welcome to the Squad Games podcast, everyone, where Striking Scorpions definitely don't have a 3-up save, and they should.
They don't.
And that's how you fix Kill Team. End video. Just kidding.
Or we're starting strong today.
We're starting real strong.
Yes.
A few shout outs at the beginning of the video. If you guys haven't bought your tickets to Las Vegas Open, the biggest Kill Team tournament in the world, go ahead and buy them. If you are on the edge of getting those tickets, Jason, why should they get their tickets?
It's a great time.
Wow, that was fast.
Super simple. It's
See,
a
super
time.
There's a
waiting
lot
in
of people
line.
there. You get to see a lot of cool stuff. There's I don't know, there's a lot going on. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and even if you've never been to an event, never been to a tournament, it's a great place to just learn the game. In fact, that is how I originally learned Kill Team in the last edition. I played like 2 games at SoCal Open, didn't play anything, and I went to LVO and I brought Veteran Guard, which I didn't know were good. I just wanted to play a bunch of action heroes. Played 4 games, won my pod. The next day played 4 games. Or I lied. I played the After Dark, and then I played the next day, and then I played the After Dark again.
2 After Darks?
Ooh.
Yeah, and
Wow.
then I played on
That was
Sunday.
fun last year.
I played
The arena thing?
I
The arena
played
thing?
13 games in one weekend. I have good news. We're not going to allow people to burn out like that. We're only having 9 games in 3 days, 3 rounds of 3, with nice long breaks in between, and we're done by 5 or 5:30 every day. So you could go see Britney Spears or whatever else you want to do in Vegas,
The
right?
Blue Man Group.
Yeah. You could go.
Sphere.
You could go paragliding. You could go into
Cirque du Soleil.
or the roller coasters. And
There's a roller coaster in there?
no, not in Cirque du Soleil. It's in I think New York.
Oh, New York.
Yeah.
You can go see the Sphere.
Yeah, you could get on the gondola.
There you go.
Yeah, you could do all sorts of stuff.
Have some Gordon Ramsay food, Hell's Kitchen, if you reserve in time.
Yeah, we always.
Overpriced burgers.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not
they're
gonna
actually not that bad. They're only like 16, 17 bucks.
That's not bad
In the
now,
grand
yeah.
scheme of Vegas. Yeah, exactly. In the grand scheme of Vegas, because everything's inflated in Vegas.
And they're delicious.
They're
Shout out
good
to Gordon
burgers.
Ramsay, not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Not a
The fish
sponsor.
and chips are good too. I mess with
I'm
those.
a sucker for fish and chips.
I love
I
fish
always
and
order
chips.
Fish and chips, yeah.
The
So-
second best thing to come out of the UK besides Warhammer.
So the other thing,
That might be true.
There's another thing. We are streaming the World Championships of Warhammer. November 21st through the 24th. We're going to be streaming it on Twitch and then eventually releasing it to YouTube and our Patreon. So if you guys want to catch that action and watch some of the best players in the world play, remember, a lot of these people that went to this event, right, didn't lose a game while getting their golden ticket.
That's nuts.
There's going to be people that didn't lose a game, some of the best players of their region in the world, that will go 0-10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be me because I'm bringing Deathcore.
The best team out there.
The best team in the game
3+
next to Blades of Lame. Yeah.
I think Blades of Cain are better.
Yeah.
You think they're better?
I think
Definitely
they
better.
Yeah, I called Jason yesterday. I was like, yo, can you help me cook some stuff up, my guy? And he was like, just bring a different team. I was like, that's what everyone keeps telling me. I'm going to stop calling people.
I like that. Go against the grain, you know?
Yeah.
Well, if you're right, you found something that no one else has found.
No one's going to see it coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That could be your advantage.
It could be. I like going in as the underdog. But it's going to be a great time. If you want to join us on Twitch, I believe it starts at 9 or 10. The first round starts at 9 or 10 Eastern time, and then it doesn't end until like 9 p.m. Eastern time. So it's pretty much an all-day thing for 4 days. I think there's 3 rounds on Thursday, 3 rounds on Friday, 2 rounds on Saturday, and 2 rounds on Sunday. We'll see if we can stream some of the top tables and stuff like that. It should be a grand old time, and we have to say thank you to Games Workshop for allowing us to stream their event. In fact, we will be one of the very first English broadcasts ever at a GW event.
Huge.
There's going to be a Spanish Kill Team stream as well, but there's also going to be
We got Warcry for the first time.
Warcry, Underworlds, and stuff like that as well. So those are both in English. So we're not the only English broadcast outside of Games Workshop.
Are you guys going to be streaming the same game as the Spanish streamers?
We will.
It depends.
We will find out.
Or are we going to get some like red zone coverage?
Yeah. It depends. We're going to talk to them and see if we can stream the final games together. So that players don't feel that they have to get split up. And who knows, if the top players don't want to play on stream for the final round, then, they don't have to. So we'll have to try and entice them with gifts and stuff.
Regalos.
Yeah. Should be good. But we're going to get to our topic now of how to fix Kill Team / how to nerf elites.
That is, fixing elites is one of the problems. There's others.
Yes,
but elites are definitely one of them.
They're perfect.
They're perfect.
Yeah, they're perfect.
You're perfect.
Yeah. So if anyone doesn't know, this is Jason Steinke. We've had him on the podcast quite a few times. He came to his very first tournament ever, which was SoCal of 2022. Yeah. And you've never played in a tournament before then. In fact, he only played narrative, and he came in, he beat Jimmy Kelly, he beat all the Kel team. He came in and just crushed everyone and won the entire event. I think James Robinson was your only real competition at that event. You guys had the same exact record at the end.
That was
definitely not Jimmy.
Yeah, definitely not Jimmy. Jimmy got beat,
It happens.
And he won with Intercession Squad, which we were saying
they were
how
not at their peak.
They were not at their peak. In fact, they were at their lowest
they were
point.
pretty good.
That was a rough time, and you did it.
Yeah,
They were good.
yeah,
They were not good.
They were great.
they were not.
The
good.
thing is that you're a good player, so you made them good.
I
So,
appreciate that, but I think they were pretty solid.
so outside of Jimmy, outside of Joshua, in Southern California, Jason is one of the best elites players in the region, and he drove quite a distance to get here to speak on his points and defend why elites are not broken.
Right.
There's parts that are broken.
Okay. Your argument's falling apart now.
It is. There's definitely parts that are broken. But yeah,
And we're going to throw out a bunch of different things that we think Games Workshop can do to help balance the game a little bit better. If anyone's playing the game competitively right now, they probably know that if you're not taking the top 5-7 teams, it kind of feels bad, right? It's really difficult for anyone outside of the top 5 to 7 teams to take a game off of the top 5-7 teams. Everyone else is just, there's an S tier and everyone else is in B tier, right?
No,
There's actually a couple teams in A tier, right? Where you can take them, you're still at a disadvantage, but everything from like B tier down is kind of like, what are we, why did we bring this team? We brought it for hobby track. That's right.
There you go.
Hobby track, Yeah. And painting and for fun. If you're looking to win an event, though, it really seems there's between 5-7 teams that really have a really good shot at doing it. Maybe 10 teams of the 30 teams. In fact, if we look at our stats, there are, I think, 6 teams with above 55% win rate. There are 3 or 4 teams between 55 and 45. And the other 14 teams, or no, it's more than that. I think it's the other 18 teams in the edition have a sub 45% win rate. In fact, Deathcore have an 8% win rate, and Kroot have an 8%. Kasserkin have a 13%. Navy Breachers haven't even been played competitively in a 16-plus player tournament.
That's rough.
Now, our data is a little bit different than Cyrac. We can only pull the data that is put in properly into BCP. So there's a lot of TOs out there that are still doing tournaments under Season 3. That is not the correct format for this edition anymore. It is called Season 4 Beta. So if you are running a tournament coming up, make sure that you have Season 4 Beta turned on, because BCP is still getting those stats in so that we can capture all of the data. So, it is what it is. But what are the most broken teams right now?
You want to take this one?
Legionnaires for sure.
Legionnaires for sure. We did a community tier list.
There you go, tier list.
That we will do a statistical tier list versus the community tier list. So it's like how the people feel in the game compared to how teams are actually performing. We'll release that later on in the maybe early next week for another tier list video looking at worlds.
Yes, check that out on the YouTube channel.
But Legionaries I think we have 92 responses. I'll put it in the description below. So if you guys want to also go through and put your what you guys feel, because we're not going to define S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier. It's what you guys feel. Like, what do you feel about it? You know, because statistics are also going to be very
they vary on region.
They're just on point. This is where the team is, right?
Right.
So far, I believe Legionaries, out of 92 votes, have 90 votes.
Cool.
89 votes at S tier,
Yep.
2 votes at A tier, and 1 vote at I don't know.
Ooh. Yeah, definitely don't know.
Well, they're about to find out.
So I would agree. Yeah. They are the most agreed upon team at being S tier.
The elites are just too, I think, like in general, like the issue is just too tanky.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. It's like, I look at I think like Warp Coven Legionnaire is probably like S tiered. Like the biggest thing is like being able to reduce like piercing is nonsense. I think a lot of people have talked about that. That's huge. And then Legionnaire specifically, I think having like the 2-up save on one operative and you get to switch who it is. So you can pick whoever's probably the biggest threat or most threatened, right? And then they have so much CP that basically they have balanced on everything because they're using only 3 ploys like every turning point, but they're getting so much CP, especially if they lose initiative. And they're so tanky, they can afford to lose initiative and be like, all right, whatever, now I have a model that's easier to kill. So,
well, also, it's actually better for them to lose initiative a lot of times in elites versus elites matchup. There's a reason why we see Angels of Death with a 42% win rate. Angels of Death suck into Chaos right now. The Emperor of Mankind is not protecting them.
Yeah, they cannot beat Chaos Elites.
They cannot. Yeah. It is
at maybe a competitive level.
At a competitive level.
Your tabletop at home, maybe.
Yeah.
But you know, that what we're talking about, no.
Yeah.
It's interesting, especially when like you look at like the change to plasmas, switching them to like be hot to be the lethal 5 is nice, but like lose like they're only piercing 1 now. So and then you have everyone reducing piercing 1, and it's like that's huge. That's
and healing.
And healing.
Well, that's the big thing is like you can't. It's hard to one shot them now, right? It's like very hard to one shot elites or those specific teams. And so to your point, they can all heal, and now you're kind of screwed. You're kind of SOL. You don't have that big first like melt a punch that like kills a model and puts you up, and at least you're in a good spot. Like you might not. You're probably gonna like not even like even Inquisition. Like I think they have the best shot because they can
take 2 meltas, right?
Well, they can take 2 meltas, but they can kind of ensure their melta doesn't whiff. They have like the dash.
2 meltas, like 2 plasmas.
They have 2 meltas, 2 plasmas. But the big thing is being able to have 2 3 APL models at the start of Turning Point 2, 1 model already Mystic buffed, and then having the dash from the Recon Trooper, being able to like put you some like non-reciprocal basically attacks Turning Point 2. So you can kind of pick and choose when things kick off. But besides that, no one else really has that. So that's pretty rough to not have a Mystic buff ceaseless. and multiple 3 APL models to kind of hang with the teams, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Legionaries is definitely top of the tier. So is Warp Coven. They're the second most agreed upon team from the community. And in statistics, both have above a 60% win rate or close to a 60% win rate.
I think just real quick on that, like Warp Coven, like same thing, just the tankiness, like rubrics with 2-up saves. They have the essential Justice Scratch on normals, which is huge. Like you can get melted, pay 1 CP, and you only take 1 damage. Like that's ridiculous.
That is pretty ridiculous.
They also have a P1. They can also ignore P1.
They can ignore the P1 across
and
everyone,
they heal.
including the Zangors.
Yeah.
They have heals.
Including the Zangors? I thought it was just on the rubrics.
They can leech the heal for 1 CP, and that's all Warp Coven operatives. So they can leech the heal, so you can heal potentially, like if you really want to go crazy with it, like 3 to 4 times if you're counteracting. They have the teleport to keep them safe, and then like honestly, the MVP for me playing that team a lot of the times has been like the Icon Bearer and like the Zangor Champion. It reduces all damage more than 3 down to 1. So you can go in and fight like power swords with like normal like Zangors, and they can't kill you in 2, which is pretty wild. And you can have the GA2 point to like ensure that. So that's pretty crazy to be able to like throw away against like certain teams like a common Zangor into some like mook, and you can throw them up the board, and then they get free mission actions on the opponent's side of the board. So now they're getting like additional action economy. It's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
people are sleeping on Sanguinars. I don't think anyone's sleeping on them. I think they're crushing people. Is the problem.
Yeah. And the other crazy thing is like there's other teams that are really good right now. You know, a lot of the community feels that novitiates are also S tier, Inquisition S tier, right? And these are like the top of the meta teams. Now we haven't seen novitiates win a tournament. We saw them get slapped by, I think, down by like Phobos at New York Open, and a few other teams. So they definitely still have weaknesses compared to somebody like Elites. We saw Nemesis Claw almost win SoCal Open, and they have a 42% win rate.
Yeah.
And that's just because Austin played them really, really, really well.
Yeah, I don't think he made a single mistake, honestly.
And the problem is that Legionaries are just
You could just take it.
Even if you get possibly outplayed, you know, or anything like that. Like I've played Angels of Death into Legionaries, and I was like, oh yeah, you charge your champion guy into me, right? Mm-hmm. I gotta turn my phone down. You're gonna charge what is the Chosen?
The Anointed?
No, the Chosen.
Oh, okay, the leader.
Yeah, the
Who
leader
can heal himself.
The leader got thrown into me, and I got 5 criticals.
Nice.
Murdered him. Didn't matter. Did not matter. It was crazy. It's ridiculous. It's what it is. But I do think that, like, what else is there? Death Guard might be possibly a plus tier / getting close to S tier.
The Plague Rings that just came out.
The Legionnaires thing, they have like just like a high floor, right? Like if things go wrong, like how wrong can they really go? Like you have a lot of like, there's tanky too. Yeah.
Now, the community really feels that like Hierotech was
Same
A
thing.
tier.
Super tanky.
But the problem with Hierotech is that Hierotech can kill all the Marines if they take 2 death marks. We saw it at SoCal Open. Kellen almost took down all of SoCal Open, and he just stumbled on Into the Dark versus a Legionary player. Once again, Legionaries. But he beat multiple other Legionary players throughout the event. But like, I think that like Hierotech are probably also S tier. They have a 69% win rate right now in our data.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the same thing, like low floor, right? Like they just come back. It's super easy to bring them back.
And then,
like it's
yeah,
not
having
really
the
punishable.
reanimator, instead of having to like wait or be smart with the positioning, just being like, I press a button and I get my model back.
Right.
Like,
Well, they're
way easier.
also great at denying points. So if your model dies and comes back to life, you no longer have kill op.
Yeah.
Like you can lose points on kill op versus Hierotech Circle. Like it's crazy that there's a team that's just like, oh, you killed me. I guess it doesn't matter. You know, it's just, and
well, that's kind of how you want to play against them. Like when I've had success, it's been like chipping them throughout the game and like either big turning point 1 or early turning point 2, or like and like killing 2 to 3 models early, or like just kind of chipping models, then playing like cagey. So turning point 4, you can actually just like kill them all, and then you actually score the points. But you got to be patient, and we all want to roll dice and kill models.
We all want to roll
like,
dice.
It's hard to wait. Yeah.
yeah. And with this edition, it really like turning point 1 matters a little less, you know, but it matters up for like the rest of your movements for the rest of the game. So I think those are kind of, do you guys have any other S tiers that you'd probably like throw in there?
That are really problematic or like something that's hard to beat? No, I mainly have an issue with elites. You know, like they just have that unlock. Like we'd already mentioned, they can take so much punishment more than you'd expect, and it really turns the tide for them, because when you think it'd be over, they can still do it.
Yeah, and I think there's such a big gap between those top tier teams. Like we wouldn't make this video if there wasn't a large gap.
Right.
Right. And like, it's not me being some salty deathcore player, right? I think it's objectively like a problem. Like, yeah, you could take some elf teams. You could take like Harlequins are good. You can take like Corsairs are good. Like there's a bunch of teams that are still good.
Right.
Right. But there is like a huge differential between the bottom of the pack and the top of the pack. And there's still some things that still need to be unlocked for some of these lesser teams, you know, that still might raise them, you know, because the edition is very young.
It's still new.
I think there's like a lot that hasn't been figured out though. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like you open up the box, you're like, oh, we have these super tanky models. We're just going to like stat check and like stomp everybody, right? Like that's what's happening now. But I think you'll kind of see things kind of like shake out. There needs to be some nerfs, like we talked about. These things need to be changed, but like, I don't know. I think there's like commandos are interesting. Like I think they seem pretty solid. Like
commandos are very, very good.
I haven't seen anyone playing Wormblade and they seem like crazy good to me. I mean, obviously there's like, I don't know if they're like, I compare everything that's more than 8 models to Inquisition, but it's like, I think they're still really good and they still have like those like 2 hero models that really make them fun to play. So it's, I don't know if you're seeing people play them because Elites just kind of stomp, but people haven't taken the time to figure it out. You know, it's pretty easy to just like, you see Volk is kind of like some different terrain than what we're used to, you know, especially when I think it's interesting how like
super heavy dense. And that's why I still think Colts are still going to be pretty good. Not on Into the Dark because Games Workshop's Into the Dark maps suck, but on Volca specifically, you can start the game essentially in Turning Point 2 with a Torment. Like, if you don't let any of your models die Turning Point 1, you can have a Torment and have 14 models ready to charge and beat the crap out of people, right? Like, I think a lot of people, like, everyone put them in D tier because Can You Roll a Crit was like, these guys suck. They don't suck.
Well, I think it just depends on how you play them, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's another team where, like, the Colt has always been, like, at least since I've been playing, like, you got to be really patient. And a lot of people aren't because they start steamrolling. They're like, oh, I can just run up. And, like, when I was playing Intercession, like, that's how I beat them. I was just like, all right, just come to the meat grinder, you know? Yeah. Like, and it's like,
while you're small, you die.
Yeah,
so,
and it's like,
you know?
it's when you have like these giant torments, it's like you're gonna be willing to do that. But like, it's hard to like sit back, like not do that, just like stage things appropriately, make sure you have like your like icon or whatever it's called, like your buffs in the appropriate spots. Like that's always like difficult to do when you want to run up the board and just like kind of murk people. Yeah, it's like I catch myself doing it all the time. There's like I'm like I have 2 choices. This is probably the better play, but it's not good enough not to roll the dice. It's like I know this is the suboptimal play, but I kind of want to kill this.
And
model.
yeah, you're right. Like half the time, this is a game, so you still want to roll the dice. You know, yeah, it's fun.
But I think all those teams, I think everyone's good. Like I think if you play cagier, like I've always played cagier, so it's like for me it was kind of like nice with the new edition. But like even like my favorite tac op is Plant Beacons. Like I think Plant Beacons is the best. Like I think if you have Plant Beacons and like that's why I like Warp Coven because I have the option of Plant Beacons, Confirmed Kills, which I haven't really used. Accidentally took the wrong card in that one game. It was supposed to be Plant Beacons. I grabbed the wrong one. Yeah, I'm bad at Kill Team. And then the Contain I think is also like
Contain is an incredible one that I slept on in the beginning.
Yeah, and I think that's why I like Warp Coven because they can kind of like flip it like versus like other elites. What I've been doing is like taking a couple more Zangors and then you're like. Your last activation, you just like move dash a Zangor up to do the warrior and then do like a free like plant on their side of the board. And like, did you take Contain? Okay, well, cause like if you didn't reveal champion, I know that's what you're doing. It's like, boom, I just denied you 2 points and I've gotten my 2 points and just like, I like that flexibility.
Wow, we're back to season 1 of Kill Team 2021 where that's what you would do with a Zangor, is throw him in the back and then plant beacon. That was the old one. He would be carrying the beacon and just like running forward, use the thing to move him forward. That was the same trick.
That's funny. Yeah.
Well, can you teleport them still?
No. So there's no teleport for Warp Coven. It's like a snapback, which I think is like way cooler. So you can like basically have your Temperic Sorcerer have a spell that's like someone within 6 or within 9 inches if you do Master the Material, which are always taking on the Temperic, right? It's a 9-inch like distance requirement. So like the way people have been ruling it is it's 9 inches to the target and then you put a token down. And then the next time that operative, Warp Coven operative activates, if they end with wholly within 9 of that token, they can snap back to within 1 inch of it, right? So like you could like have a sorcerer with fly, have like be sitting in like a corner, right? Of like the base of like one of the Vulcan strongholds. He has that little like token. Now, since you have fly, you just pick your model up and move them horizontally, so you can essentially fly through walls. So you could fly into another stronghold or a different point, like move dash, nuke somebody with like a doom bolt, right? And then Capricious Plan, dash back to within range, and then snap back under conceal, right?
What a combo!
It's like super. So that's like that's kind of what you have to do against like Legionnaires. So you have to like pick people off with that and like the Mind Burn. Like that's what I've been doing. But even then, it's like they could just heal. Like you can just heal, but it's like, do they heal better? You know, it's like. It's kind of weird. There's a lot of like the sequencing against other elites is interesting too. I never felt like it was that hard to play. And like now with like counteracts, like if you get up too early, like sometimes that can kind of burn you because you can give a better model like a counteract and that action's like more valuable than actually having another model, which is like a weird situation to be in. I've been in that situation where I'm up and I'm like, oh no, I'm giving their good models extra shots. It's like, that sucks, you know?
Yeah.
So
let's talk about Legionary first.
Okay.
What are the fixes to Legion? There are a lot of fixes that we can do, or that GW can do.
Right. They could do.
They could minus an operative.
I don't think that's going to be the one.
I don't think subtracting operatives is the way to do it.
Because then that actually might worsen the team.
That's the point, Giacomo.
But hold on, you're worsening the team to the point where you're turning them to the Nerf gun. We just need to put them down from like a Desert Eagle to like a Colt 45 or something.
Don't know if if you keep the game if you keep the team the same and you so here's the other thing, they have all these cards coming out, right? So are you going to just start nerfing operatives and changing cards that they just sold to players?
Probably.
Right?
Probably. I hate to admit it, but like,
I mean, but why would they do that? Like
Because you can still get them for free.
An easier fix is just to nuke a guy. They don't have to change anything. Your cards are still the same. You just take one less guy. And here's the thing. The team will still be fantastic with 5 operatives.
I don't think so.
I mean, I definitely think they get like, I don't know about that, but
You don't think the team would be fantastic with 5 operatives?
Not at
fantastic
all.
isn't probably the word I would use. I mean, they'd probably be viable.
You could still play
but
them.
They just wouldn't be like.
Exactly. We're not. We have to bring down. We
It's-
have to climb up and bring them down.
It's
you
an
know?
opportunity cost thing. So let's look at the Icon Bearer, right?
Okay.
You don't have to do anything with him. He can sit in your back and just be a gunner and shoot and then go back, right? He gets you a point. It's not like if he had to be on an objective in the middle or on your opponent's side, then okay, it's worth getting the extra command point, but you have to play him more forward. So now that's no longer, I just sit him in the back and get it. I have to work for it because I can die now if I'm in the front. Right? That makes more sense to me. It shouldn't be on your home base because that's also easily defendable. But maybe even that, right? When you're forcing a guy who's giving you literally everything for free and you don't suffer at all from it, then that's a little bit more of the risky play and you're getting the reward, right? That makes sense to me. That'd be something I would want, where the Icon Bearer has to be on in the middle or at your opponent's side on their objective to start scoring the free command point. That's an easy fix. Another
That
one
doesn't just fix the team.
But I think
So
you just
how
got to. I
about-
think you just can't have the tankiness. I think that's the biggest
That's
issue.
the next
That's what
thing.
feels bad is how much these teams soak damage, right? Like that's what feels bad about them. Like it doesn't feel that bad playing in AOD personally because they don't just like
They can't heal.
soak. They don't
They
soak
can't heal.
damage. Yeah, right.
Right, 18 wounds is the most they have.
I mean,
how
I
do
will
you-
not lie. I've played against Angels of Death before with the veteran guard, and it was still difficult.
Yeah, like
Well,
you
they're
just
still
survive
really
hits.
good. They're super good. But I think it's like, and I think the problem is, like I said, the ability to soak damage. So like the 2-up save, like why does someone need a 2-up save? Nobody needs a 2-up save.
Right,
Just get rid
warded
of that.
armor is
get
so
rid of that
nuts.
mechanic just completely. Like you do not need that. It just doesn't make sense. Or make it like
Can it be an
1
invul
2-up
save?
per like turning point, like a single 2-up. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I think like do something like that. Like just make it where it's like
Where
more
normal
like
damage is
those
gone.
armor equipments used to be in the last edition.
Right.
The Icon Bearer CP is like just crazy. Just because like if everything's going well, like and you don't need to like do anything tricky, like you just get free balance on everybody. So somehow that mechanic, like maybe can only be used. I want to say like on ploys, but that doesn't make sense because you just use your other CP on rerolls. So I think that's a big issue. Especially like I've always found that like I'll go in, I'll shoot someone, they'll do like 2 saves and a fail, and then they're like, oh, well, I'll just CP this because I have 7 CP.
Right, and
it's
it's
like,
not a problem at all.
I think that's an issue, especially when you're hitting worse and you're losing piercing. Like you're just like literally chipping someone at every single like stat you can. Like I think that's the problem is it stacks too much. So somehow removing that. So getting rid of the 2-up save. And even then, like it's still like we're still describing like a very good team right now if you do those things. But maybe some way of like you can only use the Slanesh ploy or the Nurgle ploy. Like you can only get benefits from one of those. Like either like you can't get the reduced piercing and the 4-up.
So let's
That's nuts.
Let's put our balance patches.
All right,
So
all right.
Giacomo, you do a balance patch. I'll do a balance
Okay.
patch. Jason, you do a balance patch, and we'll all be wrong.
We will all be wrong because GW is going to pick something else.
will do nothing.
See, the thing is, I'm worried you're right where they're not going to change anything because you're right. They printed the box. So,
And there's-
like, you
and
just
there's not-
invalidate it right away.
and there's not enough. I mean, the GW already gets in enough trouble when they release a box and then 2 months later you have to buy a new book. People don't like that. And
yeah, the
people have always
rules are
said
free
that.
now online though, right?
Yes,
so
they are
it's
free.
like,
So there
it's
is
not
that.
like the worst.
But if you
thing,
buy the
yeah.
cards, those cards are not free. You can
40K
export the PDF from the app to a PDF, and then you can print the PDF.
Like, 40K got invalidated almost right away. Like, it happens.
that seems to be the norm.
And I'd rather have it invalidated because I'd rather have a game that's functioning
And balanced,
and
yeah.
balanced than like to the point where it's just
Yeah.
impossible odds.
Yeah, because Games Workshop came out when they said this is the new edition, the most balanced edition ever. And
I don't know what
that
they're
was
balancing.
obviously incorrect.
Their balance was broken.
Yeah.
And they used it. And oops.
Well, I think it's still like I definitely think the balance is off. You're never gonna have like a perfectly balanced game, right? But I don't think it's like that crazy. Like Legionnaires specifically are an issue. But if you
They're really tilting the scales.
if you were to pull like Legionnaires and Warp Coven out of this, like
I think the game would be a little more balanced.
It
again.
would not. Absolutely not. You still have Inquisition. You have novitiates. You have.
But like in the
then you have some of these other crazy teams that are cooked. You have Nemesis Claw. You have Angels of Death. You just have when there's a power vacuum, you just have more teams that are going to step into.
How many total teams are in Kill Team right now?
34.
All right, so like
34, 35?
15 of those are going to be bad in order for the game to function.
At least half. That's normal.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you can
Right.
get everything perfect.
That's how I see it. It's like there's 15 that are going to be bad, and they'll get their day in the sun at some point, or maybe they've already had it. And
It'll
it's just
rotate.
like, I just don't think you're going to have like a balanced game if you try and do that. Like someone's going to, what that allows is for like cracked mechanics to like come out. Like if everyone's good, like there's going to be certain combos that people are going to find that are just
I
like,
agree.
insane.
I don't
Yeah.
think, talking balance patch wise, I don't think that all the teams should be raised to the level of Legionary.
Well, I think a point you were making, and like if you think about all these teams, they all have similar mechanics. Like healing's one that keeps coming up, so having like good base healing, some sort of damage reduction is like really good. Like those two.
Well, you know what
mechanics, I
sucks
think, are
about
good.
damage reduction is when you only have 7 wounds. It doesn't work very well.
Works well for novitiates.
Well, yeah, but they can
heal.
They can heal from like 1 to 7 in a turn.
But that's all you need. You just need to be able to survive
Yeah,
a hit.
but multiple people can do it, and they have infinite. They basically have infinite faith points, which is just obscene. It's just obscene. They're an obscene team. We're not going to talk about them. They're obscene.
We should at some point.
We will. But what is the most balanced
They're
team?
right there.
What is the most balanced team where you guys would like to see the meta sit?
Probably Angels of Death in that middle.
I think Angels of Death are up there right now. If I was to pick like a team that I think's like where I'd want the balance to be, I mean, I don't know if it's a balanced team, but like kind of like Corsairs.
Corsairs is a
hovering
good
around
point
there.
too.
I think
Yeah.
Corsairs are strong. I don't know if they're busted. I would love
Which
to
is
see.
why they're balanced. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're in the good spot for.
I would
the
love to
Fun
s-
mechanics. They're very thematic. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot going for that team that I think like, especially when they first came out, like I was like, oh, this is cool. I kind of
Yeah.
want to
play them.
jive with them. Yeah.
I think that Angels of Death and Corsairs are probably around the same powerish level, right? I would love to see
For
a
different
lot
things.
of these
Yeah.
dog water teams get raised, and then all these upper tier teams get pulled down. Because we had the same problem in the last edition. We kept asking Games Workshop to buff Intercession. They needed a buff. They were awful, right? They could not, no one would take them because like they were not fun to take to a tournament and just lose every game.
Right.
Because shooty hordes were just like cooking them, right?
Significantly stronger.
Yeah. So like we have the same problem where like they're alienating competitively a bunch of people in the scene because they don't want to have, like for me, I don't want to have to go play, teams. I want to play Corsairs. They're not done, so I can't take them, I want to play like Angels of Death, but I can't take that to Worlds because I'm going to
stumped.
I will lose every game.
I don't think you will.
You'll even with Deathcore, I think you're going to win a few. Will you win all of them? I can't say you'll win all of them.
I won't, of course not.
I think you'll win a few though.
I don't know about that.
So you'll surprise some people who weren't expecting you to do something.
Use that poison cloud, right? Like that's good.
The poison cloud is a good one. The gas cloud.
Use that to just like steal points.
Yeah.
Slow them down. Like that's a good move.
So there's
It
so,
is.
So I mean, I'm gonna be playing against Jason later today on Twitch, and then we're also going to be playing a battle report for Patreon. So if you guys are interested in watching some of that, watching us both prep for Worlds at a hopefully high competitive level where I don't get crushed like I did last weekend, it's a great time and stuff like that. But going back, our balance patches. So if we're trying to get these teams down to a Corsair level or a Angels of Death level, right? What are our proposed functionalities to at least start that journey to bring them down from the Chaos Gods?
You have to balance the 14 wounds.
Okay.
That's the first thing, which I don't think you change it now because I think it's like kind of like
14 is the
good.
place.
I mean, I feel like that's where like that was one of the biggest benefits of playing Intercession. There's times to be alive on
You have
one
14
wound.
wounds,
And I
yeah.
was like, I have no business being alive right now. Like that's always what made them like good, right? But like, I think you're not going to change that. But how do you balance that? I think there's little things. Like an example is like the Go Demon guy on Legionnaires. Like he used to not be able to shoot, right? If he went into demon mode and can't do mission action. And now he can still double shoot with these rending pistols. It's like he doesn't need that. Like he's going to go demon mode. It's already a cracked model. Take away that extra ability. Right?
I would be agreed with that.
Or make it like make the players make more choices to like trade off. Like I think that's one thing.
So Jason is nerf demon guy, no double shoot.
Is that the only one?
Icon Bear. No, Icon
And
Bear.
the Icon Bear?
And the
I
Icon
think
Bear.
you just get rid of all the CP from the Icon Bear.
What else?
Fair.
What would he do in this place?
Nothing. He's just an Icon Bear. That's how the Warp Covenant Icon Bear is.
Okay. So no extra CP for Icon Bear.
Or you can get it like, maybe it's like a once per game, you get like one ploy for whatever mark he is free. So you get one CP for
I
him.
can live with that. I can live with the Icon Bear giving the mark. I think that's a pretty
Like
good
just
compromise.
once per game, yeah.
Once per game, get a
Or
CP.
once per turn, so that he's kind of using it. Because if
And
it's
it's
once per
still
game,
free.
you're
It's the
never going to
exact
take
same.
it.
That's the exact same. Well, that's the whole point. It's like now it's like you don't just have a model that is able to double shoot with like severe and rending on one of the shots that is 4 APL on a point and gives you free CP. Like you're just getting too much out of that one model, right? So that's how you balance it. It's like you just pull it, or you like force them to take like a separate model or something like that. I don't know. That's how I see it. Like
So no CP, no
I think
double
the
shoot.
no
And
double
is there
shoot.
anything else that you would do to
the
Legionary?
piercing crits, but that's like anyone. There's only 2 teams that have it, but I think that ploy is
And piercing crit. So you'd keep the 2-up save and you keep the healing.
The healing, I don't think you change. I don't
Really?
I don't think you change the healing. Not right now. I think it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of thematic. It makes sense to me. But I think it's like really good. But like you should be able. That's like something you can play around. You know the person heals. It's not like a dice roll. You know, as much as like the 2-up save is or something. But I think the 2-up save is the other big thing. Like somehow reduce the tankiness as well. But like
Maybe
we've
when
already
they
listed,
fail a save, it goes away.
But what I think they'd actually do is I think. Like I'm thinking also like what's going to happen. They're not going to do these huge nerfs. Like I think the first 2 things are the CP from the Icon Bear, and then the like I said, the double shoot with the demon guy. I think it'll make people misplay him at like mid to lower tables more. I think you'll see the win rate shift, and it'll be more fair for like the casual players. It's not going to be as like stompy.
I like that Jason's coming in conservative because I'm not going to be conservative on this. I'm going to be
After
hardcore.
watching how they nerf Elgor Ravagers for the last year, like since I started playing, I was like, this makes no sense. I don't understand what a nerf is. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then
think-
they like someone like mixed up the cards. They gave them all their abilities back for this edition. Which is like, yeah.
And plus some. And plus more.
right.
Because like pelting firepower is actually busted.
Pelting firepower is very good now.
Yeah. So G, what is your proposed nerf to Legionary?
All right, so we'll start with the Icon Bear because he's always the problem in the room. I'm okay with not having CP. I think that's totally fine. I like the idea of it being whatever icon you take, like or whatever faction you take, that's what you get. And I'm okay with that being a free ability from that thing only, right? And obviously you probably still pick Nurgle because that'll be the trick to do, right?
Yeah.
But at least you can't use it for anything else. So you're not going to get additional CP or anything else from there, right? That's the first one, easy. Balefire, I'm okay with it just healing on crits because it does on normals too, right? Or is it only crits?
It does. It does 1 dice per damage that you deal. You heal 1 on normals, and any crit you heal 1d3.
I think it could just be D3 on crits, and you'd still be fine.
I want to slap the out of you right
Because
now.
just don't give it to normals, because normals are just like, that's too good. Like, because
It becomes way more spiky that way. It's less reliable. I'm okay with it.
yeah, being less
Yeah.
reliable is more important because then you're
Yeah.
like, cool, you can't rely on him to be the absolute, like, I'm going to heal everyone
The
each
shooting
time.
is different though, right? The shooting is different. It's not. Isn't like the life siphon from the melee versus the actual life siphon?
No, he has life siphon on
is
the melee
and on his shooting.
Yeah,
his
but
shooting.
the melee. But what's the shooting? It's whenever you
Some
push.
spell.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like it's whenever you push damage, or is it just crits?
Whenever you push
Push damage.
damage.
It's the same thing. Normals are
Yeah.
1, and then the
Correct.
crits are D3. Yeah.
So if you just
I
made
don't
a
think it's that
critical
bad.
D3 and no 1 plus D3, so you could still only heal just
Yeah,
one,
you would
maybe.
think it's really bad until you got like a missile launcher front that down to 5 wounds, and then he went back up to basically full.
Right, and that's like...
then
oh.
you got the missile launcher down to 5 wounds, and then
And
he
he
went
heals
back
it
up to
again.
13 in one game. Yeah, you would be like, oh yeah, it's fine, and then that happens to you, and you start to be like, you
Well,
start
it's happened to me. Yeah.
second guessing
Right.
decisions of your life.
Healing so reliably is a problem, right? Like,
Yeah.
I hate that. You shouldn't take away Life Siphon. I just don't think it should be as good as it is.
Correct.
Because it's way good. Like,
Yeah.
insanely good.
It's very good.
Warded Armor should just be a 4-up invul save. Because it's a ward. It's not like, why is it a 2-up armor save?
Is that comboed with like the piercing
No,
Well, 'cause-
well, I mean, at that point,
Well,
you would just change it because you have
So
invul save.
piercing would be like you ignore piercing with a
Right.
4-up save.
Right. So instead of having your 3-up saves, like let's say you got melted, right? Cool. Now I have a 4-up armor save, but I get all 3 dice. And it's your invul save, right?
Well,
On one guy.
is that going to stack with the reduced piercing ploy as well? Because they already have the reduced
Well,
piercing
yeah, you
ploy.
wouldn't have any piercing because it's just like old invul saves where you'd
Gotcha.
still get to retain all
So
your
I'm,
dice.
well, I'm saying like then, so you have the warded armor and the Nurgle ploy, right? That gives you the reduced piercing.
Well, we'd have to reduce the Nurgle
Yeah,
ploy,
yeah,
which is a
right.
different story, right?
Well, I
Which
mean,
is what's crazy because you're
But
like,
it-
oh,
but it
I'm going to
wouldn't-
give them a 4-up invul, and oh wait, I can't do that because they already have an ability that gives them an invul.
Right. So you'd have to nerf the Nurgle one. That one, I'm not quite sure how to fix the Nurgle one. You may just
Stuff.
take it away, which I'm cool with.
make it 1 plus CP.
Could be that. The 1+ CPs are another fix.
If you combine it with like the icon bear, yeah, maybe something like that, or make all their ploys like 1
1 plus CP.
CP plus, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the other one, the nerf I like the most is you can take 4 marks and 2 of your guys have to be undivided. So that like you can't super benefit because everyone I saw on stream was going like 5 Nurgle, 1 Slanesh. Like it was just so much Nurgle because it reduces damage. Or like you can
I
reduce
like-
I
the
like
chance
that
of
idea of what
damage.
you said, just like reducing who can take
Certain marks.
like certain marks, like limited to like 2 of each mark or something.
Something
But then
like
you're
that.
like you're still getting into like roster limitations there. I think that's
You
fair.
can still
though.
bring an infinite
Yeah.
number of guys, but then it's
Angels
you
of
decide
Death
who
have
you're
lot
deploying.
roster
Right,
limitations.
they
I
have to have
agree.
roster
That's what I think's
limitation.
weird is that I thought it when I first saw AOD, I was like stoked because that was one of the cool
It's like you
things.
go, you
I
could check your loadout every game.
I
No.
think if they had given that to Intercession, they would have gotten so much better.
They're
being
gonna
able
Yeah,
be a
but
better
I think
team.
that would break the team. I mean, maybe
Well,
I would
now
make,
it would. I don't think it would have
customizing
last
to each
edition.
one
but
is
this
really
now
strong.
would, yeah.
Yeah. So I think maybe having which guys can take marks is important too, because otherwise, you just pick the best ones each time, and there's no opportunity cost.
It's tough because like you don't want to like now you're getting into like roster restrictions for certain teams but not other teams and like I think this is why it's a hard discussion, you know.
Well, I have a couple ideas for a Legionnaire. Are you done, G?
I'm done. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Give me yours.
So first and foremost, they need to have a roster limitation.
Okay.
Okay. Now, just like what's it called? There are certain thematic things. I understand that Games Workshop,
Wants you to play with
these
your toys.
whoever the kill team designers are, don't really care that much about lore, right? There's no reason why these undivided models should be able to take Nurgle and Slanesh or Khorne and Tzeentch, right? Is that those are the
other way around. Khorne and Slanesh don't like each other.
yeah,
and-
yeah.
You get it. We get it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there are certain gods who do not get along, right? And I understand that these guys are chilling or whatever, but let's say if you have Nurgle, right? You can't take Tzeentch. Is that the one? Or is it,
Tzeentch is right. Yeah. You can't take Tzeentch if you do that.
and if you take Slanesh, you can't take Khorne,
Right.
right?
So your butcher isn't going to be this
I don't
all
even
star.
think that like fixes anything though. Slanesh and Nurgle are the biggest issues.
Correct, but
Right.
I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. When you use your ploys, you only get your benefit for whatever one you have. So like if you take Slanesh, that Slanesh ploy only works on Slanesh models. It doesn't work on everyone. If you take the Nurgle one, it only works on Nurgle models. Right.
Right. And then not just including the secondary.
Now the thing is like you can say, okay, these are going to be my Nurgle guys for this game. You don't have to say like I have 20 models and 5 of them are Nurgle. No, you don't have to do any of that. You just say I'm picking these. Certain marks don't work with other marks.
Right.
Certain ploys don't work with other ploys. Okay. My other nerf to them would be warded armor. Once you fail the save, it's gone.
For the
You roll a
round?
single one up.
If you roll a single 1-up, it's gone. Keep it the same. You roll 1-up, it's gone. Right? You know, you can use your CP. Cool. I'm going to roll the CP. Okay, I still have it. You know,
Interesting.
the healing has to be nerfed. You have the champion or whatever his name is who can run around and just never die, and
Heal
then you
himself.
have a Balefire who can also run around and make sure all of his other operatives
Never die.
never die. Right? I like your idea of it only heals D3 on crits, right? Not on the singular ones, and the same thing with the knife. I think that if you do those, and then probably also the demon guy, I'm much more willing to take a lot more steps towards the team because the team is so broken, and I don't think that if you do any of those things in conjunction will like make the team
Significantly
bad.
worse. Right. Yeah. They're still
Right.
very playable.
But here's my thing. If you take undivided warriors, then all of the ploys can work on them.
Right. I think if you take undivided,
If you take undivided people, because the undivided stat ploy isn't nearly as good as the Nurgle stat ploy or the Slanesh stat ploy, so like if you take undivided guys, then any mark that you play will work. The CP thing, I'm generally okay with just keeping it the same. The P1 thing is a running theme that you're going to see a problem in all Chaos Elite teams. The fact that they can just ignore P1 everywhere, something has to be changed with that entirely.
It's just Warp Coven and Legionary, right?
That's still 2 out of the.
Well, no, I
exist.
agree that
5
it's
exist now.
an issue needs to be fixed. I'm just saying, like, is there any other teams that have that right now? No,
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. But I mean, like, what you'll see if my things go into effect, everyone's just going to take all Nurgle. And that means, okay, now we have to look at Nurgle. What's wrong with Nurgle? Firstly, their P1 crit thing is a problem. The minus the damage is a problem, right? And then they also heal on top of that. It just makes the team, they already have so much damage. So, like, you really have to look at just Nurgle. Maybe the ploy is just to, like, nerf Nurgle, My problem is when you took Slanesh and your models already move, like...
-1 to hit.
Then, like, my Vet Guard are hitting now on 5s?
Yeah.
In melee, I'm hitting on 5s, and shooting, I'm hitting on 5s. What is this? What other team in the game just gives a straight minus to hit? Nothing.
The Grizzly Trophy.
Plague Marines.
That's the other one. My number one thing is nerfing Grizzly Trophy. Out of everything else in the team, Grizzly Trophy should only last for 1 round. You do it on a very specific turn, because you know how Legionary beat all Horde teams? They move to the middle of the board.
And they
put
drop
the
Grizzly
Grizzly
Trophy.
Trophy in the middle of the board. You're never going to take that point. You auto win crit ops. You
I
auto
think
win.
That's why I think, like, I don't know. It's like everything we're saying. The problem is, like, it's again, like, there's like certain mechanics and they're all stacking too much. Like, you have too much damage reduction stacking on top of healing.
Right.
On top of like I think that's the problem. It's like, it's one of those things.
Join
like,
our Patreon and watch me get
Annihilated.
Thank you. I was going to say a bad word there. By Legionary. And it's not like and Jesh is one of the best Legionary players in Southern California.
Shout out to
And
Jesh.
I'm ruining it right now. He just destroys me. It's pretty bad.
be playing Deathcore.
No, I was playing Angels of Death.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah. And it didn't matter. It just, nothing I did actually mattered,
Yeah, I think it's just like, it's like everything you say, like, you do all this work to like kill this model. All right, well, I CPU reroll my 2-up or my 1-up into a 2-up save. Okay, well, now that's like 4 less damage. And then, oh yeah, you're going to lose like 1 to 2 damage on some of these dice. So it's like, there's 6 damage. And then it's like, all right, well, now I'm alive on 4 wounds, right? Because if your cracked rolls too
Right.
bad, now I heal myself. It's like, you just got to get rid of that. And it's like, the stacking this, I think like one example, like stacking the Slanesh with the Nurgle piercing ploy. It's like, that is crazy.
Nuts.
It's crazy. Like, I
Yeah.
think, like, I don't know. I haven't played. I don't play as Legionnaires, but like, dude, Mono Slanesh seems like super good too.
They are.
They
Like-
probably are, yeah.
Like super good. Like, I mean, I haven't seen that as much as the Nurgle because, like, I understand why, but like for the damage reduction, but like
Any
having
team
the
that hits
extra-
on 4s, it's brutal.
the actual not a lot. that's one problem. Like, teams that hits on 4s, like, yeah, you're kind of just screwed anyway.
Imagine
But,
taking
like,
that to orcs too, They already hit on 4s or 5s, Like,
Well, that's what I was saying. Like,
For
that's
shooting,
what
yeah.
I would do. It's like you'd have to take it. You take that into them, then you also have like the APL reduction from the Shrive Talon. You have the Grizzly Mark, and then you have the APL reduction from the Ploy, right? So it's like, plus you have your Icon Bearer essentially letting you do that for free once per turning point. So
and
how
there's
is anyone
no
supposed to do
team in the
anything?
game outside of Warp Coven that, and maybe Higher Tech, that really just stack on stack on stack, and it's just like it feels impossible to climb out of.
Yeah. And it's
Inquisition
like,
too,
and
I
they,
guess.
Well, and then like here's the other side of it. They hit so hard, but that's kind of how I always saw like Legionnaires.
Right.
Like, they were
Elite should still hit hard.
Yeah, I don't want to nerf their damage. I
Right.
think
Yeah.
it's
Their
fine.
damage is perfect.
But that's the thing. Like, you're hitting hard. A lot of that's like native. They don't need to use ploys to get that damage. Like, well, they get even more with
Yeah, you
Khorne,
don't need corn.
Which
you
is
don't need
like
it.
if you just took those models and took away all of their ploys, right? Like, it'd still be like an A tier, S tier team, even almost. Like, it's kind of crazy to think about. If you just had the data card. So then it's like, that's the problem right there. It's like, now I think if you have to either tweak the data cards or you have to get rid of the points, basically, which is like basically a remake of the teams. That's why I think it's easier to tweak the data cards. But I think what you're saying, you got to pick either the heal mechanic, which I don't think is the problem, because there's only 2 people who have the heal mechanic, and one of the leaders the leader who has the heal mechanic, I don't know if you're always taking him. In certain teams you are, but you're
Right, you
taking
might
the guy
take the
that gives you
aspiring
the
champion
who
sometimes.
gives you free APL. Yeah, that's
right.
fair.
But then
like,
that's free APL.
Yeah, but it's like I think like that's the problem. It's like you just need to like make each model worth like less, because like the fact that like the warriors are so good and you're not taking the warriors, it's like as often, it's like kind of crazy to me.
That's saying everything else is better.
Yeah, like way better. So it's like make it like situational, or make the players make decisions that like kind of customize the team versus like I'm just going to take the best models and I'm going to make them even better.
Right.
And these might be green versus blue. Sometimes, yeah, right.
Moving into Death Guard. Death Guard have a very similar problem, right? Where
Marines.
they just are Giacomo, you played your first competitive game against.
Twice.
You played 2 of them?
Yeah. They ended fast, back to back.
Oh, yeah? In your favor?
No, God, no. God, no. I tried 2 different elites into them. And of course, they weren't the best elites. I didn't do Legionary. I did Night Lords and I did Angels of Death. Angels of Death I did better with because I had piercing. Night Lords kind of got close. They did some cool moves.
Yeah, but you count as
But then
injured.
he just healed and injured me. So like in melee, I was like, well, it doesn't matter if they can't reroll. They already can't do that. So it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, cool, you're injured. Hey, you're poisoned. Take some extra damage because you're poisoned. Cool. I'm dead. All right, bet. Oh, did you just heal 7? No, you healed 5? All right, still good. Because you roll 2 dice and you take the better result. Like, what?
I like this team. They seem kind of cool. I've always wanted an excuse to buy like Plague Marines.
Jason just likes the power fantasy.
Reducing
Power
damage
gaming.
on a 4-up
Everyone should
for
just be
normal and criticals is so strong.
And then they have a
it's
CP
stupid.
that they can
Just go like, it happens.
By the
they're
way,
just like everything is -1.
just as a fun fact, we're all like, oh, reducing 1 damage on a 4-up is so strong, and then it's like we had 5-up feel no pains on like 20 wound like
And they
Outer
were
Block models.
still strong.
Well, they were too strong. That's what I'm saying. It was like it's
Yeah,
funny
and
how
they
like
were
this
still
is like
strong.
definitely like a nerf version of that. That was always.
But this is only
yeah.
6 models. That was a bunch of models.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think I think I would rather, instead of nerfing teams, I'd rather make other teams stronger, like other teams better. Like when I see like
I cannot stand to think of a world and how swingy the game would be if everything was Legionary power level.
Well, I agree. Like, there's certain teams that get pulled down, but like a bit. But I think it's like mostly like I want other teams to be better. Like Kroot,
Agreed.
man. Like,
Sorry,
how are they
Kroot.
still so bad? Like, I just don't get
They
it.
need more stealthy things. Maybe more
Because
silent abilities.
obviously Games Workshop doesn't like Kroot. They should have been nixed just like squats were back in the day.
They'll release a box set for it for 40K and
I
then
like
not do
Kroot.
a thing for Kill Team. You do like Kroot,
I
yeah.
like Kroot.
Like, there's things like I think about like I've always wanted to run RBDs with Inquisition like consistently, and like I've played a few games with them now like that, and it's fun, right? Like the subductors are actually like
Pretty cool.
decent. Like there's
Yeah.
like things you can do with them. The double debuff, that's like all Inquisition stuff. But there's good models on that team that like they just got to like figure something else out to like make it better. Like I think the sniper is pretty good. Like he has a long range shotgun,
Mm-hmm.
like not just his like stationary like mortal wounds profile. It just has like a long range shotgun. Like there's probably something they can do there where they can give him like, I don't know. They have like an equipment that gives like 1 model piercing.
Yeah, and just make Inquisition better? No.
Right. Every time you
Get out of here.
They have an equipment. Well, they haven't. That's what I'm saying. Like now they have an equipment that gives like 1 model piercing when it shoots. Like why did you nerf that team and get rid of the
thing from
piercing when
sniper.
someone's within 2? Like I understand that anyone can shoot from a distance, but it's like if you're within 6, why can't you give them piercing to the shotguns? Like why would you nerf that? I think things like that could like make those teams like a bit better. There's like if you're not going to give someone piercing, they need the way to like generate crits, right? Like it's got to be one or the other because that's how they're going to beat elites. So it's like figure out which mechanic makes more sense thematically and like employ that. Like I think there's a lot of teams where they could do that across the board. Like that's why I look at like Corsairs and it's like they seem very thematic to me. Like I've only been doing like the Warhammer stuff for like a year and a half now, but like they seem very thematic, like perfectly thematic.
fast
And it's
steal
like,
objectives.
yeah, I think like something like that where it's like just give like super cool models. Like more teams need like a single like OP model on their team. Like I think like the Pistolier on Corsairs, like pretty sweet. Like
He's a very sweet model.
as opposed to like Legionnaires, which just has like
Everyone's broken.
6 of them. Yeah, like or like you look at like Wormblade, like they have like 2 models that are just like these are stacked models. Like it's like good to have that like power piece. Like a lot of teams don't have that or a way to create that.
Right, your ace in the hole that does the job.
Yeah, like I said, other teams like Inquisition, you can create that model somehow, which gives you flexibility, which is nice. But like, how do you do that for some of these other teams? They just don't have them. Like, what's the model that's like stacked on Exaction? The Castigator.
What's the Death Core one?
Well, it should have been the leader, but
It sure ain't.
for some reason they
But
were
even
like,
then, you need to keep that guy alive.
Right,
Yeah,
because
but
you
that-
want to give him the orders. So
but
like,
now it's like now the leader's like, or she is bad and can't shoot anything. Like, it's just like, well, now it is just a back piece. There's no more tactical diversion where you used to be able to be like, oh, my plasma's going to hit on 3s. I need to trade. This guy's moved up too far. I'm going to move up. I'm going to kill this person and my leader's going to die. I find it a worthwhile trade. Now it's like, oh, if I move up and shoot, and if I go on hot, I'm going to roll 3 and then I'm just going to kill myself.
I think the mistake and the reason I think it exists, that rule, is the mistake of how they modeled the model. Like the physical model, they were like, you can take the plasma sword or the plasma pistol and the power sword. Where with restrictions, like you look at Angels of Death, you can take the plasma pistol, but you got to take the chain sword. Same thing with Night Lords. You take that, but you take the Nostromo chain sword. So like they let you have the good shooting, but you lose your thing.
But here's the problem. Since they made the plasma pistol hit on 4s no matter what, now you can take the chain sword.
But you can
and the plasma pistol, and the plasma pistol still sucks.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, if it was you only could take the chainsword and the plasma pistol as an option, then at least the plasma pistol could be buffed because the chainsword's not as good as the power weapon.
I would agree.
Right? Then that would make more sense. Mm-hmm. But they don't do that. They let you pick everything, which then they go like, well, the plasma's too strong. You would take the plasma every time.
But here's the thing. One of the reasons why elites are running amok is because they nerfed plasma into the ground. Plasma is bad. Like...
I'm okay with plasma existing.
I like the lethal.
It is okay when you can shoot it 3 times in a round. Okay?
I don't know if the
AP2 weapons in general were kind of a problem. Everyone had access to it like too often.
Yeah, but now everyone has. Not only did they nerf all AP2 options, but now they also gave all elite teams -1 piercing. Like you can't.
Well, just for 2.
You can't just. Well, yeah, but still, the thing is like you can't still. And I think does Death Guard have it?
Death Guard does not have AP reduction.
So here's the thing. So you're going to nerf all the AP in the game, and then you're going to give 2 more teams even more nerfs to AP? It just doesn't make sense. There's no counterplay for these lower level teams or these lower teams now to fight against these people who they've nerfed AP teams and they've nerfed any way to do damage to them.
I'm still in favor of plasma being piercing 1.
Well, then they have to get rid of piercing in the upper level teams.
I don't think teams should have the ability to reduce piercing.
Yeah, I like the lethal
not team wide.
I like how it's a different flavor. It's not just like I'm just gonna reduce your dice.
Right.
More.
It's
like,
not.
You have a different.
It's
type
not
of
long
weapon.
range Melta.
So like
You know?
Yeah, exactly. The Melta is like, all right.
That is the dedicated gun.
Your your armor,
like to destroy them. You know.
And then what do you call it? The being able to generate crits, like I said, either like reducing armor or like generating crits are like 2 ways to push through damage on elites.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We pause?
Yeah, time is 59:56. We got time. As long as it's filming, we could just splice it when we need to splice. And we're back. You want to hit the little the clacker? Time starting at 1 minute and 12 seconds. So yeah, reducing piercing.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I think that would be fine because then plasma's okay. Because even if you had AP2 against like let's say 10 model teams, right? AP2 just wrecks them. Like it just wrecks them just as hard as elites.
Yeah, but they also have obscuring. Like I think that there's a couple things that we're missing
but
from an eye-to-eye thing now, right?
Obscuring doesn't get rid of piercing. Only
no, but it gets rid of a shot, right? So even if you hit. So the only way that it really matters for what you're saying, so AP2 really matters, is if you hit with all 4 dice.
Or 3, and you just go to 2 and then you get 1 save.
And then if you're doing obscuring, now you're hitting with 2. Okay, well I get 1 save. Cool, I rolled a 3 up and I saved it. So I'm going to take 5 damage. Okay, cool. Or 4 damage because they even nerfed the plasma pistol's damage. They nerfed the plasma pistol's damage, they nerfed the AP, and they made it hot so that models that hit on 4s or 3s can basically kill themselves if they have a 7-wound team.
I think if they did those changes and there were still 6 objectives, though, it wouldn't matter as much. Like, it was still like if they made those like weapon changes and they were playing 2nd edition to kill team, it wouldn't matter. Like, I think the issue now is like, now you've reduced the objectives, which is a buff to elites. You've given them counteracts, which is a buff to elites. So now not being able to kill them is like actually a problem. Like, you used to not be able to, like, you didn't have to kill the models. You could just run around like playing points team, which it's still points team, but like, that's why I like playing beacons, by the way, because like, you can just run around and score
you don't
points.
have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's like a mini game. It's like
one thing I would have liked to see game balance wise change was go up to 4 objectives and then have a maximum number of 9 crit ops that you could score. From Turning Point 2, 3, and 4, but that's besides the point. We're talking about teams. We're not talking about games.
That can always happen later.
Yeah, but I think that's like part of it. It's like I think it's like, yeah, we don't have to go to that conversation, but it's like that's part of the problem is that like you've shifted the game so much towards elite gameplay or like given those models.
Well, even TAC ops are favored for. Look at Champion.
Yeah.
Look at Storm Objectives. Look at Overrun. Overrun, do you know how hard it is to score Overrun with 2 APL teams? You have to have a model that goes fully into your opponent's territory and then kills a model and with 2 APL. And then you have to have another model run into their territory and kill it, and they both have to live.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. That's hard as heck to win.
It's insane. And like so that is strictly
elites are going to benefit the most.
Beneficial for elites. Champion, pretty much just only elites, right? Because
now it's good into elites.
No, it's not.
You just have to kill one model.
Yeah, you have to kill one model with a guy that you designate. So if you don't go first, they can come and kill your model. You don't score it.
See, I'm thinking about this all through the lens of Inquisition. So
yeah, of course you are.
I'm also
right?
playing Plant Beacons, but
but then you also have like let's say if I was going to do it for Vetguard, Deathcore, I would have my Melta. Okay, I'm going to choose my Melta. I don't go first. They charge my Melta.
Kill
I die.
Melta.
Or I go first. I move up, hitting on 4s. Heaven forbid I'm fighting.
Right, you get -1.
Heaven forbid I'm fighting Death Guard, or anything else. Now I'm hitting on 5s. Okay, now I'm going to shoot. No way. If I get lucky, I'm going to do 14 wounds. Right? Never going to score it. The only way you're going to score it is if you chip a bunch of models down and then you go do
That's
it.
exactly what
with your 14 models.
to do.
Yeah. If you do that, right?
That's what you should be doing.
I mean,
but it's unfortunate. That's a hard play.
But then what if you accidentally roll too hot with one guy and you kill him with a different guy?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it sucks.
Oh, yeah, it does. I mean, it doesn't work, right? You have Storm Objectives, which is one of the worst objectives in the game because you have to retake objective. It's only good for Felgor. Because when a Felgor gets onto a model, onto a thing, they can take it, they can die, they can frenzy, they die, and they no longer control the objective. Somebody else can move onto it and they can go charge again, right? Anyone else, if your models die, it's bad, right? For pretty much almost every other thing, every other TAC op is really geared again towards elites or 3 APL activations, right? It's almost like they didn't.
Well, I think you're talking a lot about the seek and destroy TAC ops, and like even like I don't think like contain's that hard to score against elites.
Contain
you just hang back and then
you can do contain against Plague Marines pretty easy.
Out of 4 so far, contain's the only one, right?
Beacons.
Plant beacons.
If you have enough numbers, you could just take
if you have enough, right?
Yeah, you just
recover items is just bad.
I agree with that.
Yeah, no,
it's just
confirmed kills is doable too.
Confirmed kills doable, right? So now we have 3 out of 7. Yeah, you have to have recon, right?
Yeah.
Again, somebody who gets to select everything playing,
or just I'm playing Warp Coven now, but security but I think like that's the point. It's like even then, like we're talking more like game balance. Again, it's like the game is skewed towards elite, so it's like what do you do to the teams? Like you just have to make them worse. Like those are your options, right? Obviously,
but also seek and destroy. They incentivize smaller model teams to get to the other side of the table.
Yep.
But the problem is that when you're doing that, and the way that functionality horde teams score is they're supposed to trade models for crit ops. They're supposed to trade models for TAC ops. And innately, a horde team's design is to die, right? So you are innately wanting your models to die, so you're giving over kill op points, just innately as a team. So innately, you're already losing kill ops to score your points, right? So it's just innately just bad. So there's like TAC ops are a problem. Universal equipment's a problem. Elites are a problem. A lot of problems.
There's a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I mean, Deathcore specifically do want to die. It's in their name.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
in their lore.
So do Kroot. Like, how are they ever supposed to live? And that's one thing they've always done.
That's an issue with the way they design the team. They don't have any real defensive measures. They have some cool abilities, but that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Like
they push like no damage.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So like you're not killing them, and you're not even like doing it from a position of safety. Like if you had silent shooting or something, and then you disappear. You know, like you don't get any of those cool tricks.
Kasrkin, same thing. Kasrkin are. Why would you ever play Kasrkin, and why would you ever play Deathcore when Inquisition exists? Mostly it's because you hate the Inquisition leader model.
You can take Inquisition.
Not the leader. You're the Inquisitor. He's the interrogator.
That's not fun.
Get out of here. I'm not
Who's reading the Interrogator book series?
Warhammer
No one.
to LARP, okay?
Nobody.
No one. We're reading
not-
Eisenhorn and Ravener, okay?
I'm Eisenhorn. I'm not Ravener, okay?
You want to be in a chair?
Take 2 meltas and 2 plasmas. Tell me you're not having fun.
That's the fun part of Inquisition.
Yeah.
You're just talking about the model.
Yeah,
Play
the
with
model,
whatever toys you
yeah.
want. They're your toys.
I mean, he was really good. I mean, last edition, Dakotah used to say how bad he was. I'd give him a power knife and like the extra damage on the pistol, and you just like make him a 3 APL model, charge, fight, shoot. You double kill with him all the time. So, it's like he was pretty good. Like,
but
5
in-
dice a bolter, like it's not bad. Yeah.
in general sense, Inquisition, like they can take all these team members
He has a
from them.
book. He's
so you
modeled
just
with
like
a book,
He is
okay?
the book nerd.
He's a nerd.
He's a nerd. I'm with
He's a
you.
nerd.
bald nerd.
who's a pirate. All
He
right.
should have
don't
been
like
a
the-
real Inquisitor.
To be clear, I don't like how the model itself actually looks.
That's what I'm saying. That's what we're saying.
Oh, I thought you meant
It's-
just like
no,
the
no, no,
piece.
no, 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 no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
We're talking about the model. It's a
The model
physical thing.
itself,
So how do
We're
we
being
fix,
superficial.
How do we fix Inquisition?
Force
Make
them to
that
take
model better
only a
first.
certain amount of teams, not every team.
First thing.
Like honestly, they'd probably still be all right if they could only take sisters and
I have a very
Tempestus
simple
Ions.
fix. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think me and Giacomo have talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
They should be disallowed from taking any bespoke teams. They should only take scions or sisters. And maybe you could add a third operative in there, like Deathwatch or a Grey Knight thing, where they can take the NPO version of Space Marine. So they could take 3 of them. They could take a Marine who can double shoot,
Right,
or a
warrior.
Marine that can
Yeah.
double fight. Right? But not both, like
I just think that like this is like another problem of like you have a team that can take every single archetype, so they can take the best like tac ops, and then
Build
it's
to the
like
best
it's not
ability.
like it's like you're only taking breachers like last edition, right? Like versus Leech, you're mostly taking Casterkin, and like think there's tons of play of exaction into like
Casterkin
Mirror
can
and
heal
other
for
teams.
free. You get
You're not even taking that. You're taking this
extra
crazy
gunners.
Meltamine.
You're taking the Meltamine and go run up, and if he dies, he still puts it down.
3 up gunners, all that stuff. Like that's the problem. It's like you just get every piece on Inquisition is better than like you line up like the next best teams like Novitiate. So I had this conversation with someone. I think Inquisition stomp Novitiates, right? Because like every single one of your melee pieces is as good, if not better, than every single one of their pieces, and you just deny their heal turning point 2 and you just go nuts, or turning point 3 if you're playing KG, right? Like
Problem with Novitiates, they also have crazy ass flamers.
well, the flamers, yeah, but like
Which
it
is
doesn't
fine, that's
matter.
their stick,
It just doesn't
you know?
matter because the flamers are just not like it just doesn't matter. Versus Inquisition,
It just
doesn't matter.
matter.
You can just be like, all right, your flamer can't go. Like
It just doesn't matter.
you don't get to use that to like like
Turning point white. I'm going to kill it.
yeah, right. But it's like every single like you have the quest keeper hitting on 3s. You have the death roll veteran who charges and shrugs a normal. You have the guy who now gives you CP who used to be terrible. If he's in engagement range, he's balanced rending. Like that's crazy. Like what's his name? Starts with there's an E. The guy with the 2 knives. Who
An
no one-
exactor.
That exactly.
I-
Wow,
no one
yeah,
even,
no one even used him
used him. He
before.
was bad, but now he gets your CP. Now he's pretty good. Well, even then you're like, I don't know if I take him. Like your flamer dude's better, who's gets relentless if someone's injured. The penal legionnaire.
Oh, penal legionnaire, yeah.
Your
Dude, I'm not
plasma-
gonna lie. I do not like the look of pretty much any of the Inquisition models outside of the Pistolier.
Most
I
people
agree.
I see tend to
I
customize their models.
I
agree.
only
Yeah.
like the Pistolier. The rest of them,
Every time I play
I'm
my
okay with the
Inquisition
Death Roll
team,
veteran.
that's what veterans
I'm
are.
not. He looks like some.
He's a caster.
does-
Or he's a what do you call him?
Not a Catachan.
Yeah, he absolutely is. Look at his
He
muscles
does
and everything.
not look like any kind of yoked Catachan that I've ever grown up with in my
Guarantee
life.
if Catachan come out, they're going to be based off that model. That is literally what's going to happen because they did
I
it.
would rather
I
them
agree
look
with
like.
that.
I would rather them look like
old style.
That's funny.
Pull it out. Pull out that model. There it is. Oh man, that's the better model.
Don't ask me why I have 3 of these and 4 of them.
I heard why. It was a cool story.
This guy. This is the guy.
The story anniversary model.
He has no MSRP, so people charge whatever they want.
Whatever they
for them.
want.
Usually $250.
That has usually been the case. Yes.
Yep.
And just because it looks cool.
Dylan from
Predator.
Predator. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's what's going to happen. Like, wait, what were we talking about? No, we were talking about looking at models. Anyways, that's besides the
Yeah,
point.
the Inquisition models. I
are still
constantly want to
strong.
remodel my team. Constantly.
Yeah, just make your own
custom.
custom ones. It's cool
Every
enough.
single time.
So how do we fix them? So that was our thing is
I
like
think
get rid
that-
of the peoples
like-
and only take.
So it's like in a vacuum, like yeah, that makes the team, that nerfs the team. Right, what you said, for sure. And by the way, having 5 sisters with power weapons or the 3/3 flamers is like
Still nuts.
really good.
Right, it's such a
and then
Scion.
And
like,
Scion still
And
can take
Tempest
2
still hit
gunners.
on 3s. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
yeah,
you
so
know?
you're like, do you want comms or do you want power weapons, right? But
Right.
it's I think that'll like take away. I think that's kind of like what's cool about the team is being able to take all these different like ancillary supports and like think about the different scenes to the books that you're like playing, like that you're kind of recreating. So I think it's just like an example, like an easy way to like nerf them with like Khazrakan is get rid of the free dash. Why do they have the free dash? Like that's insane.
Because
right?
you take it on the recon guy
Well,
every time.
but they shouldn't be able to use it to get the free dash on top of everything else. Right? Like Inquisition shouldn't be able to get the free dash ploy. The RBDs, like they're good, but it's like, is the problem the RBDs or is the problem that you can take like a bunch of stacked?
The problem is that you can't
Like-
buff RBDs in the right way without buffing Inquisition.
Right. Every
That's the
buff you
problem.
take will buff Inquisition.
Well, I think you do it via the universal equipment or like a ploy.
Universal equipment, everyone can take their own equipment.
Yeah.
Sure, you can make their own equipment better, but is that going to fix the problem that is exaction? That always has been exaction? I don't think so.
I think that's more like the team. Like I said, the individual models, like look at Exaction, look at Inquisition. Each of the individual models on Exaction, like most of them are just worse than even the base Inquisitor models. Like that's the problem with these teams. Like crew, like so you look at Inquisition. Why is Inquisition good? Every single model is good. I can take any model on that team and charge it into your like sister, and it's probably can kill them.
Yeah.
Like probably, right? Like it's pretty nuts. Like even the leader's got like a 3/4 knife if you take the equipment on 4 dice, right? Like that a lot of teams don't have that, like just every model is good or every model has like an advantage, and that's the problem. So you have to remove specific advantages or like
I could see that. Yeah.
force specific like team compositions, but then it's like now you've taken kind of away thematically. Like I think a lot of these teams will just kind of cycle out is like what's going to end up happening.
Right.
But
If one becomes bad, you just take the one that's better.
I think being able to take the dash ploy on Khazrakan is stupid. I think that's like one of the biggest issues. It's like, why give them that ability? And then for the
Same thing with Deathcore. Deathcore on Inquisition's really, really good.
well, they get to take the Confidant now. Like, that was a buff. Like, why do you get the Confidant? Like, just remove that as like an option, right? You didn't get to take the
You
spotter.
get to take the Melta and the Plasma.
and
and the
take
Sapper.
you take
Controversial take. What if all the shooty type teams that Inquisition can take just get a generic profile with
No,
certain
they
special
can't
abilities?
take 2 gunners. I don't think Deathcore can take 2 gunners.
They can
Well,
take
in the
three
sense of
gunners.
like it's
They can take
Death
3
Core, but
gunners?
they're always these models or
Yeah,
something.
they can take
No, that
3
wouldn't work.
gunners, but they can take 3 gunners and including the sniper in that count to 3.
Okay.
But they can take 6 operators. But all
The
those
sniper's
gunners-
busted. Can they take the spotter too?
no.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, but like I think that's it. Like it's like you're taking like the best models from the team and then being like, oh, we're going to give them to another team with better models, and then also these really good ploys. But I mean, there's so much. Inquisition's like hard. I don't know. Like they just buff the team like across the board. But like when you look
When
at
they
it,
were already good.
but if you look at it compared to like elites, you're like, oh, okay, this isn't that crazy. Then you look at like every other team and you're like, what did they do? They just didn't give some teams some love. But I think that's just the nature of like competitive games, right? There's gonna be some teams that just aren't gonna be good.
Yeah,
but Inquisition, I think you just need to make like individual operatives worse. Like the quest keeper should still be hitting on 4s.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting one. Is make their stuff worse?
Well, like why is the quest keeper hitting on 3s, and then you look at like the novitiates,
Make
like
the Pistolier
sister,
hit on 4s.
the sister
See
hits
how
on
you like
4s.
it.
Well, no, not the Pistolier. Come on, get it.
We figured it out,
The
everyone.
Pistolier's the queen. You leave the Pistolier. But it's like you can't. Every model can't
See,
be
I wanted
as
my
good.
queen to be left alone
Right.
too, but she
And they-
got hit with
they got
a
hit.
I
plasma.
agree. Your team's not very good. You shouldn't be but I agree. Yeah, but it's like that's. I think it's just like it's stuff like that. Like wired, like they get to hit. I mean, just like the quest keeper hitting on 3s is crazy, especially when he gets the hit on death. It makes it so much more impactful. Like the charge from you get a guy who's 4/5 hits on 3s, charges from conceal and shrugs a normal. Like that's like one of the best models on most teams. Like why? Like they
And
just
he's
have
just
that.
a regular dude.
Yeah, they're like, oh, no one's using the knife guy enough, so we'll add another broken model. Oh, they're like flamer dude who's like only okay into elites. We're gonna now give him a 4 dice on 2s, 3/3 flamer. Oh yeah, and he gets relentless against injured people. Like the problem is like who do you choose? There's so many good options. It's like there's other teams where you're like, oh man, I look at Exaction. You're like, oh man, I have to take this many models. I don't really want to take this medic or like something like that. You know, like that's the problem. It's like there's just too many good models and like. Even if you took like the Tempest, like think that you took the Scions with that team. That team's still so good with just the Scions, right?
Hitting on
Like,
3 still,
which
yeah.
is what I'm saying is the first nerf you need to do is like get rid of like the dash, right? From like Khazrakan. It basically makes the Scions, except you can take the Meltamine. The sisters, like,
Yeah, so just get rid of Cassigan.
Well, like you said,
Can't take 'em.
But if you did that, I don't even think you fix the team as much as like it certainly nerfs them, but like all you've done is like made them worse against elites.
Yeah.
Right? Like think about like you're going into like novitiates. Okay, like now I'm just going instead of taking all the melee operatives on from like the inquisitorial agents, like I'll take a few gunners there, really like the 2 you can, and then I'll take 5 sisters.
With power swords.
Silence with swords.
4 with power swords, 1 with like a flamer
So
just in
much
case.
cooler though.
Well, I mean, I'm okay with it. Like, I got the sisters like painted up and everything ready to go. But it's like, I think it's just like you kind of make them worse into elites, and then they're still really good, and everybody else have you really like fix the problem.
Like, I'd want the fix that we made to be real, but they don't sell that as a box.
Nope.
So therefore, it's never going to exist because product-wise, doesn't make sense to sell it that way. So therefore, you wouldn't change those rules because it would.
And they just released those new Inquisition boxes, like the combat
right
patrols.
that are just them
Yeah.
exactly, and the combat patrols. So again, it doesn't make sense to sell it that way. So as much as I would love that change to be the thing, not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not
I just
happen.
think like you could like there's like for Inquisition a real simple one is like switch like what's it called quarry back to balanced. Like that was such a hard part of playing the team is picking the right quarry and then it being like effective. If everyone's hitting on 3s now, just switch to balance. Don't give them ceaseless too. That seems excessive. And then like the mystic buff lasting until like I know a lot of like buffs are like that, but I think those are the two of the bigger things. It's like that and then getting a free 5th ploy with Kazrakin is like
Ridiculous.
for free, which is like ridiculous.
That's Inquisition's a whole can of worms.
They just buffed it in every place possible, which I think it's like for new editions, like fine as long as you balance it somewhere. Like
You got to sell those boxes.
You gotta sell those boxes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So moving on to Warp Coven.
Get rid of piercing crits.
Yeah, you know this the best.
Don't touch Warp Coven. I like Warp.
So-
Why do they slingshot?
I had
Why can you do?
I had a really bad time when I played Warp Coven.
That's how you know when.
Were you playing Deathcore again?
I was playing
This is gonna
Angels
be
of Death.
Okay.
And Jimmy Kelly, one of the best players out here, he moved dash to a door, opened it for free, shot me with some super mind spell, and then Capricious planned, essentially doing a 5 APL action.
Sounds fair.
Sounds
Who
fair,
came up
right?
with that?
Sounds super fair. Oh, and on top of that,
I make the team.
on top of that, he rolled really hot and just nuked my hero who was hidden on conceal behind a door super far away. I did not think he could do that. I was very mistaken. And then I was like, cool, I'm going to move up to the door on this side. And I'm going to put a guy on guard. He's like, cool, I'm going to move over an inch away from the door. So I'm not in what's it called anymore, in engagement range. I'm going to open the door. I was like, cool, I'm just going to hatchway fight. So I hatchway fought, didn't kill him because he could auto retain 1 in close combat. And then he shot the crap out of him with an AP1 gun, killed him. And I was like, cool, fantastic. What's next? And then I like moved another guy into the room. I had to then charge his superhero who just like blasted my homie. So I charged in there. I kill his best model, right? But I go down to 2 health. So he's like, cool, I'm going to shoot this guy. He's going to die. I'm like, okay. I mean, he had to die. So now I'm down 3 in one turning point. And then I move up a model. Okay, it's like, okay, I'm going to tap this. I'm going to go on guard. Anyone else wants to come into the room, I'm going to try and shoot him because I got to score a crit op, right? I got to. And then he's like, cool, I'm going to take a different sorcerer, charge through this door, kill that guy. And I'm like, okay, well, I literally have 0 models on this 3/4 of the table. I have 2 models left. Okay. The game was over. Super over. The things that were most frustrating to me was the sorcerers being able to do so much, how much damage they did and how much they healed. Not only that, but I was also frustrated that they had a 2-up save with a crazy AP1 can't get through, right?
Sorcerers don't have a 2-up save, just the rubrics.
It's the rubrics,
Yes,
which is
yes.
still strong.
Yeah, but the sorcerers can
very
also
Yeah, really good.
It's a problem.
can also heal, right?
Pick one,
And I
piercing
didn't
or
even
2-up.
fight any Zangor. I didn't even fight them. I didn't even get a chance to experience the madness of Zangor.
Didn't need it.
In fact, just delete the team and make them go back to the way they were. I would rather the team be utter hogwash than how they are currently.
They weren't even that bad, but like after they got the last round of
In the
buff,
season
they were
three, they
just
kind of
so
were okay.
difficult to play with the roster restrictions and everything.
Yeah.
Now without a roster restriction.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's the roster restriction. I mean, that makes it easier to play, right? But it's
They're also one of the teams that can get up on the third story and just bombard people and with no repercussion. There's just
hey, you just shoot people
Rip
and then you
third
capricious
story.
plan back to conceal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rip third story.
And then you wait for someone to recast a teleport on you, then you teleport down to your nonsense, snap back. But
Yeah.
even that, you don't want to do that too often because then you're losing board control. But it's like, it's still like, no, it's a good team. Don't
and then
touch
they
them.
also have
They don't
He's like, yeah, this guy has just saturate. I was like, not saturate light. He's like, no, just saturate.
Oh,
And I was
see?
like,
and obscuring.
yeah, and like
Obscuring.
and ignore obscuring. So I was like, so you can just see my guy.
I think one of my favorite
And he's
things
like,
about
yeah,
the
and
team
I was
is
like-
putting the mortal wounds on that Seek ability as lethal 5. And you can just like nuke people. Like I shot I lost this game, but I was playing against Jesh and I like nuked his Balefire. I was like, gotta kill the heal guy
You
first.
got to heal the heal guy.
So I did my little thing, snapped back. I'm like, perfect, Balfire's almost dead. He's like, no one else can get him. He moves. And I'm like, boom, finish him off with the Seek ability. It's nice. It's fun. It's awesome. And it's also not like it's gonna like absolutely like win you the game kind of thing. I think
Oh, it definitely isn't. It definitely isn't going to
Yeah.
make you get tabled by the end of Turning Point 2.
yeah, but it's like a fun. I think it's like very like thematic. It's cool, but I think there's just like the being able to snap back, maybe make it like one.
It feels-
like you could only have one active
Feels
per turn.
great when you're playing them.
Well, I'm saying like that's what I'm saying. You should only be able to have like you shouldn't be able to counteract and then have a second model be able to snap back.
For
Each
me-
model should only be able to do that once. The heals, maybe you can't leech the heal. But
For
it's,
me,
like,
the
weird.
Capricious
It's kind of-
Plan, you should not get an extra dash. You should just be able to flip. Like, it's ridiculous that Capricious Plan also gives you a dash, even regardless
Even
of any
if
other
you've already
rules.
dashed. That
Even
I
if you've
agree.
already
Because it just
dashed,
happens.
if you've charged, and then you also get a flip.
I agree. It's really good. I think that's a perfect example of like you can't be able to use it if you've already done the dash, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's perfectly fair. That makes total sense. I don't know if
Yeah.
that fixes the team though. I
It
don't think
definitely
that-
doesn't.
Yeah. It's
They have so many issues. I don't know how to fix Warp Coven. If you guys have an idea of how to fix Warp Coven, put them in the comments below or go onto our Discord if you're listening on our podcast and put it there because I am stumped. What about you guys? Do you guys have any thoughts or feelings?
I mean, like honestly, like thinking about it, it's like every time you like the piercing crits, I think is the biggest one that makes
Yep.
it way easier for other teams to play into them. But it's the same problem. Like every single one of your models is like better than their models, right? Like your rubric is AP1 and can shoot twice. Either has a flamer that's 4/4 AP1, which comes lethal 5 in those like bastions or like into
when you're
the
inside, yeah.
the 5 dice Soul Reaper chain cannon, which you don't have a lot of rerolls, so it's like that's not terrible.
The auto retain melee is also atrocious.
I don't think that's like. I don't think that's bad.
It guarantees like 3 to 4 hits, and so that you can parry out and you can just live.
Yeah,
So
I
you
don't
have
know,
so you have a 2-up save that you just can't get through. The piercing crits that you just can't get through.
but it only applies to the rubric. So at most, you're only talking 3 models that are getting benefited from something like that.
The 3 models you want because the flamethrower has to get up close.
Well, I mean, at that point, you just like it's like I still think you can kill that model, right? Again, now the issue becomes as a 2-up save, you can reduce a normal to 1 damage. Like that's what makes it live.
Right.
not
It's
just-
the addition of all
it's
those things
the
coming together.
stacking of everything, right? So I think like the Justice Scratch is nonsense. Like for the rubrics, like they just do not need that.
They do not die.
I mean, especially when you're trading like with a plasma, like you shoot and then a plasma shoots you back, and you're like, okay, well, I take one of those normals and make it 1 damage. So you push your 3 hits, I eat your 2 crits, and I'm alive still. Like,
Oh, and then that extra one that you hit with, I'm just going to turn it to a 1 because I rolled a 1 at the beginning of the turn because I have this fate thing that I can just manipulate your dice
that
or
is the
manipulate my
best-
dice.
That is like arguably the best ability on the team. I'm like always hoping for low rolls, not even like rolls to
Right, I don't
replace my
wanna buy-
successes.
yeah.
I just want to like replace people. Like the amount of times someone's like come in and like charged me and done something or like shot me, and it's like, well, I think I got you here. And I'm like, I take your crit and I make it a 1, and then like you just now you can't re-roll that. So like you have 2 hits now. I've reduced your piercing, so if you don't roll another hit, I'm probably saving it. Like that sucks.
Yeah, and then you auto retain, and you're like, all right, well, I definitely.
Well, it's even like stronger when you like even like games with the rubrics. Like the amount of times I've gotten like good rolls, like a 6 and a 3. I'm like, oh sweet, I get to keep these dice. It's like, oh, I'll just make your crit a normal, and then I'll just shrug it for 1 CP. Like that's stupid. The shrug to 1 CP I think is just too much. Like you basically give a Justice Scratch to a model with a 2-up save. Like it's just not even necessary. Just like if you just like took that ploy away, like the team's still really good. Like. But that's it. It's like it just stacks. It's that. But the 2-up saves with the reducing piercing. But I think like even like the Zangler champion with like
I would like to see them somehow still keep a 2-up save.
I think keeping the 2-up save is fine. There's nothing wrong with the 2-up save. It's the 2-up save stacked with like everything. Like maybe your like fate dice can only be used with like the sorcerers. That's still pretty good, but it's like
kind of like
more
how the visionary
fair.
only affects himself using his ability.
Yeah, like fate itself is my weapon. Like I understand having it be used for everybody, but like being able to do that with the Zanglers, like I was playing Jimmy and he like charged in and was gonna like double fight and kill me. So he fought my like icon bearer first with what was the hell the thing's called? Like the double fight dude on Felgor Ravagers.
The Mangler.
Mangler, yeah, came in there. So he did that and he pushed an extra damage to get past like the reduced damage buff, right? And then I was like, I just took one of his crits and made it a 2. And then it's like, okay, I live. And now you have to burn your other fight. And that was probably the game just because of that. Like, probably shouldn't be able to make Zanglers that strong. They probably shouldn't benefit from like the ignore piercing if they keep that. Because the Zanglers benefit from the ignore piercing, even though they have like 5-up saves. And they used to have invulns, but still, like, I think it's all of these things are stacked on it. Like, think about it. Like I said, the Zanglers, like, one of the best things is the icon bearer. Like, he's a stud. He's my MVP most games. Like, that's a problem. Like, all damage being reduced from like 3 to like down. Like, maybe make that just like a 5-up or something. Like, even then, I mean, make Zanglers way worse, but like,
Yeah, when you know
The
all the
champion can
enemy
just double
rules
fight
too,
with 10 wounds.
you just
Yeah.
get super daunted. You know, like just like how I'm playing Navy Breachers. How am I supposed to beat this team? You can't.
Yeah.
It's just plain and simple. You can't.
I
And
think that's the problem.
that is the worst
Yeah.
feeling about Kill Team currently. Is there are certain teams who just can't beat other teams.
I really
And
wonder. I
that's
know
the
we
problem.
said this earlier, but like maybe with the elites, it's just take them back down to 12 wounds.
Yeah.
Like maybe that is if like a big. I do think it's like a big part of it. I mean,
Or you
there's
could
so
drop,
many other like.
you
issues
could also
with it.
drop every team down to 5 operatives and then increase their wounds to 18. That's a possibility too.
Yeah, but they got to leave room for their like Grey Knight and Custode team that they're going to release.
Eventually, which are going to be
We'll have to
5,
see.
assuming it happens.
I'm hoping. Yeah.
So the last team I really want to talk about that's really at the top of the standards, right, is Higher Tech Circle. Higher Tech Circle, you know, is really, really disgusting. I think they have an 8-inch injury aura bubble with one of the guys. Yeah. They're insane. They can cook elite teams. Like sometimes playing elites into them, you can be like, how am I supposed to beat this team? You know, like they can take 2 death marks, give them
You don't flip to engage.
no.
He's they conceal the whole
Yeah.
game.
And then you can just like go on guard. You can shoot any model that comes out and just you can like get piercing or what they get relentless or something and
I don't know. There's
force they can force crits. Like it's their
depends on
death
who
marks
they're
are just
using.
insane.
I've seen the Technomancer. He can give like lethal 5 and rending.
That's the one.
to the
Lethal
death
5
marks,
and rending.
and they just melt you.
Yep.
So you just don't get shot by the death marks.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what you gotta do.
You have to literally just charge them and kill them. But the problem is as well, when they die, they just come back and they ignore your
Go ahead.
they stop people from scoring kill op. And that's just an innate problem with the team. Like there's one team in the game that just stops you from scoring points. That just seems ridiculous.
Well, I think again, I don't think it's just that. I think it's how you stack. It's like what stacks. They just like push certain things too far. So it's like they come back and you don't score a kill up. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. All right. Well, now you also generate a ton of extra CP because of one of your equipment. All right. So now you're re-rolling those 3-up saves. So there's one problem. And then they also have, you take D3 mortal wounds if you charge me, right? So like if they're like a shooty elite team, your solution is, all right, they shoot stuff, so I'm going to hit them with a sword. They hit me with a sword, I'm going to shoot them, right? Like that's usually how you think. These guys, okay, well I charge them, I take D3 wounds, and then you're like upset about the sword, the rubrics like have 1 auto retain. They get 2 auto retains, and they have the same damage profile. They start off with more dice. So now it's like you're just like you charge in any model that's like 10 wounds or less. You're taking D3 wounds, and then like you're just getting like murked, or 8 wounds or less for sure. You're dead, like most of the time. You're probably going to get a crit in normal, and so it's like that. That's just like how do you kill these models without doing like crazy trades? Like I played into someone at SoCal Open and they had mispositioned, but they thought they were going to be able to get this is while playing Warp Covenant into him, so it's like unfair to unfair. But they had like,
So you admit it's
so they
unfair.
used the dash to like dash up their leader into their models behind a light barricade, but it would have been like only my shots would have been like obscured on them. But I was able to put my sorcerer on advantage, and I could see his leader, and I leached the fire blast, and I was able to fire blast or flux blast, and then doom bolt with the Doombolt sorcerer who had like the piercing crits. So it's like crazy that I did that, and then he healed the leader. I like yeet the other sorcerer up who has the Seek Light ability to kill him. So I've just basically like sent all my models up to kill I've killed 3 of his models now. And then somehow the game ends like it was like 14-11. And I was like, how is it even that close? Like, it makes no sense. I double killed his leader and 2 other models. And it's just because of like the constant regeneration, everything, like so much CP, like.
It's super unforgiving. Yeah. They are the better Felgor. They die and then they come back.
And like they just have so many ways of like preventing you from getting to them. Like think about the Felgor and Colts. You're like, yeah, they can beat them, but it's like, how do Colts beat them if they have the D3 mortal wounds on charge? Mm-hmm. The retains, and then also they have like the slow, the nano mine down too, right?
Yeah, and we've gotten tons of comments on YouTube where people are saying like, oh, if somebody just brings Legionary to like their local store, they're just not going to play them. You know, like they just don't want to. You know, like why would you bring that? And that feels bad because like there are people out there who just never stopped playing Legionary.
Right. They just
they just never they just never stopped. Like
I think it's good that Legionary has like a high floor. Yeah. By the way, like I think like those teams should have a high floor. But I think they just kicked it too far the other way.
I think it's difficult because there's a lot of people who just like Necrons. So this is the only Necron team that are out there. So you're gonna like demonize somebody because they just want to play the Necrons and they're just like difficult to. They're just really good right now, you know. And it's like, unfortunately, we just have to wait until Games Workshop fixes the game before the game becomes more balanced. And that's going to be a couple data slates, probably 2 to 3 data slates, which is what, between 6 and 9 months before the game is, you know, semi-playable. And then you have these other teams that are coming out, and who knows how good they're going to be.
I think you got it. Yeah. And I think it's just like, you got to like ask yourself, all right, like, am I playing this to be super competitive or like just for fun? Like, what are you doing? Like, if you're trying to be super competitive, if you're playing any super competitive games, this is all the listeners out there.
Yeah, we're going to Worlds, so this is coming up dramatically.
And you want to be good and you want to win, you have to make a choice of playing the team you like a lot of the times or like the top meta team. There's last season, I loved playing Inquisition. They were already a really good team. I liked playing them with our BDs more than anything else. But when I went to tournaments with them, I played them with Breachers because it was way better. And like, that's just like what you have to do. So it's like, that's the question here. Like, if you're upset because you want to take like Exaction or Recruit to a tournament and win, like, that'd be really cool if you did, but probably not, right? Mm-hmm. So that's like part of it. So we'd say like half the teams probably aren't going to be tournament viable. Like, that's like probably what's going to happen. But like the other half of the teams, the problem is when you have a team like Legionnaires just like stomping everybody, like you can pull them down and maybe like buff the other teams. But I just think that that's the biggest thing. Once we see Legionnaires kind of be like pulled back, Warp Coven pulled back a little bit, like I think you'll see some interesting strategies. I think a lot of the other teams like have play. It's just right now, I agree. It's like when I first started playing, it was Felgor and Colts. They were just like a nightmare, right? And Commandos. And it was hilarious because like playing Inquisition, I was like, man, I just can't beat Commandos as they are. Like I can, but they have such a good matchup into me. It like limits me from playing that team now, right? So it's like, can you beat Legionnaires is like kind of the question we're going to be asking ourselves.
Gatekeeper, but they're also the gatekeeper at the top.
But I actually think Death Guard are going to be the new gatekeeper. They
I think
just statistically are just going to stop people from doing anything.
And I say there's probably ways to beat these teams, but like not in like a 7-round tournament when you're fried by the end. By and this
3.
person's just been walking up and shooting you with their poison guns. Like,
but then you also
very easy combo.
That's like why I liked playing Intercession. Was like it was easier to play. It's so much easier to play Intercession and Warp Coven than it is to play Inquisition.
Right.
Even though Inquisition is probably like a little bit better. Like
like then you also have people that are going to go to tournaments, right? Like me. Who is like, everyone keeps telling me, oh, play this other team, play a different team. And don't play. And the thing is, for me, I really like to win, but it's not a standard for me. I would rather play a team that I vibe with and that I like and that I've painted well, and have people look at my models and have a good game than just beat people, And I think like there's different types of people that go to events, right? It's not just all the sweaty tryhards. In fact, when we went to SoCal Open, we ran SoCal. It was just the majority of people just wanted to have fun. There was like 10. There's 10 people there, maybe a third of the people there that were really trying to get the golden ticket, really trying to win, and then the rest of them were just there to have fun, And eventually, you sort yourself out. You go to an event, maybe your first opponent, he just beats you into the dirt and you're like, cool. I'm going to play against everyone else.
And enjoy the rest of the game.
It was funny. Yeah. Evelyn doesn't win a lot of games at our events, right? She just goes to have fun. And then she won her first game at SoCal Open. Good job, Evelyn. And then she ended up flying so close to the sun. Her second game was on stream against Janice's Legionary.
And she was doing good in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Legionary came back because you thought you killed him. Nope.
And then she had to play somebody who was 1-1, and then she like sorted out by the end of the day, right? So it's just like, like sometimes, success comes with more with harder matches. When I go to Worlds, I'm going to lose. I'm going to start playing more people at the bottom of the bracket, maybe more people who brought teams for fun, and stuff like that, So,
you don't get anything if you win.
No.
Like when you win stuff,
A trophy.
It's like you get a nice trophy that Dakotah makes.
And you get
super sweet.
You get ego and pride. And
You get to say I'm number one.
It's it's fun. Like, but like, see, you're good at like the hobby stuff. Like I suck at the hobby stuff, so I'm trying to do that. But like, I play because I like playing more. But then there's like, I don't know. That's not how I feel right now. Like now that I've been doing this for a year and a half, it's like I want to play the teams that I like, or like the reason I wanted to play Warp Coven. It's like I got this nice Warp Coven team for like cheap online. I was like, they're so cool. I want to use these models, and I just like haven't really been able to. And now I get to it. I'm like, I know they're getting nerfed into the ground. I'm going to play them as much as possible. But like it all comes in like cycles. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the other part of it too. It's like having like multiple different teams. Like I know some people are like diehard to one faction. I never had that.
Right.
Right. So it's like, it's cool. Like you dip your toe into everything. And like have a few options that you can play too. Like, which is like not everyone can do or everyone wants to do, but like, again, like cater the game to you. Don't like, if we talk about tier lists, this team's a problem, whatever. It's like you play with your friends, you're just having fun. Like it doesn't matter what team you're playing, like, or if you want to change the rules for yourself, like you talked about some potential nerfs, like set it up that way so you can still play your team with like your friends. Like there's no reason you can't do that. It's just really only applies to like handful of games that are being played at tournaments, which are fun. Like I think that's awesome, but it's like it's such a small percentage of games that I play personally. So like I'm going to like a tournament every other month. Like people aren't doing that. Like you're probably,
I would say the majority of players don't go to tournaments, which I think is a mistake. I think that you learn a lot at tournaments. You get better. You can go home,
meet
and
people
teach your
who you
friends.
can play with, which is the cool thing.
Meet people to play with. That's honestly the big one.
biggest
Some
thing,
people just don't have a place to meet and play. So if you can go, I can make one day out of the month to do this, and I could play 4 games. Awesome, I got my fill because I can't get it anywhere else.
Yeah,
and you like kind of look forward to it too. It's like cool.
Like,
I always
thing,
and I feel like it's like how often are you gonna play like 4 games like in a row?
day.
There's so much. Like we're gonna play 2 later. Like that's the most I've played in the last 2 weeks, right? So it's like that's pretty cool. But it's like just like cater to you. I don't know. I like when I play, like I always think about like narrative situations, which is why I like think it's cool. I don't want you to change the teams with Inquisition because I think that's how it is. But it's like I don't know. There's so many different ways to get enjoyment. Like don't worry about like the score. It's also like you're playing against like rules that shift every 3 to 6 months, like pretty consistently.
Right.
Like,
There's no perfect answer.
Yeah.
If you'll drive yourself crazy if you're trying to keep up with that and be the quote unquote best at it, you don't get anything for it.
Yeah. I think this game of Kill Team is better than the last edition. I think innately the game itself.
The quality of life mods.
The quality of life.
Being able to move through models. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why was that not always a thing? Yeah.
I think the game itself is just innately better. It's just currently the competitive balance, which makes it more, which is more rough, right? But we've always seen Games Workshop right the ship, even if it's taken them a little bit extra long time, or they make the wrong decision here or there, right? But like ultimately, like the end of the last edition, the game was in a really, really good place.
For sure. Everyone was like freaking out about Scouts last edition, and like they got way better, like for
and then
sure.
Immediately got nerfed.
But yeah, but it was like, but I did not think Scouts were like this absolutely broken team that were going to destroy the meta. Like
they were just very strong now. 4/6.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like that was a good spot to be in, that they can make that change. Like I thought it was in a really good spot at the end of last edition, and I think it'll get there. Like,
and it would have been even better if another patch went by. They would have changed them down to 4/5 damage or something, maybe.
Yeah, we got to realize we're part of like the experiment, right? And there's going to be some sort of cheese that gets figured out because it's a competitive game, and it'll have to get nerfed and fixed, and like it's going to take a couple months for that to happen.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then they also have to fix universal equipment. Hopefully they can fix TAC Ops,
I'm hoping someone goes to Worlds and just figures out, like, here's how I stomped, like, the S tier teams. They just only get paired into them. Like, I used to love doing that when I played
Some dude
Magic.
from Peru comes through and he's
Some
just
dude
like...
from Peru figures it out.
Yeah.
Dude, I liked playing with the Peruvians last year. They were super fun. They just kept buying me beers, and, like, probably why they were, like, beating me, but it was, like, super fun.
They're like, if he keeps drinking, he won't play well.
It was sweet. Yeah, dude, shout out to all, like, the South American players last year from, like, Worlds. Like, everyone there, like, Ratman, all those guys. Like,
the community's growing.
They were super cool to hang out with. Yeah, that was super cool
Brazilian
to meet them.
groups, Colombian groups, like they're all getting there.
Australian Australians, 9 Australians are going to Worlds
There
this
you
year.
go.
That's
know?
crazy.
And I think
I
with-
really only hung out with like Americans and then the South Americans just because that's what I was getting like paired into a lot of the time. So it's like, oh, hey, we're talking and we just become friends afterwards,
There
right?
you
So
go.
I'm excited to kind of expand more this year.
But that's another fun thing about going to tournaments is like you meet new friends and you can stay up with them. And then if you go to the same tournament next year alongside them, you get to see your once a year friend, you know?
Yeah, and that's why people go to Vegas sometimes.
Yeah, you
For
get to
LVO.
see the
that,
new
yeah, for
models
sure.
and stuff like that.
Well, that's what LVO was for me. Like, shout out again, buy your tickets to LVO, right? But it was cool because I had gone to SoCal Open, met a bunch of people like Dakotah and some others, and then the next tournament I went to was LVO, right? So it was a couple months, but it was fun to see everybody. The only thing about LVO was I did not have enough time in between rounds because I'm slow at everything. So I was like rushing table to table. So by the end of the day, I'm like fried. I'm like, what do I do? So it was cool to have like that after arc event because I got to hang out with everybody. But yeah, that's like the best part is like being able to like meet new people, hang out with them, chill. Like I said, like you could try and win and be the best at Kill Team, but it's like you're not going to get enough reps to ever figure it out, right? It's
Yeah.
not like it's too non-deterministic.
Well,
Yeah.
the problem is that when you try to be the best and all that kind of stuff, there's only one winner.
There only
And
can
that's
be
the
one.
problem. A lot of people go into a tournament thinking they're going to win, thinking they have the best painted, thinking about that. You have to set your expectations, right? There's one winner. There's one person.
Always Aiden.
There's one person that's going to walk home with that ultimate prize, right? The other things, there's other things to shoot for at tournaments. You can make more friends. You can focus on scoring. I want to score at least 3 tac ops every single game. That's going to make you a better player. I'm going to focus on getting 3 crit ops and 3 tac ops every single game when I'm here. And then you can take everything you learn and go home with it. And then you just can continually make your area a better thing. Because if you're going to like LVO or you're going to these other places, you're watching a video this deep into this, you really care about Kill Team. You care about where things are, you know, and you're already probably bought your tickets to LVO, you know? But like, you know, there's a lot of good things, not only about tournaments, but like about competitive play rather than just narrative play. Cause you used to just play narrative.
I mean, when I first started playing, that's all I did. I was literally at like a narrative event, and then like people were like, "Go to this tournament," and I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, you get to play a bunch more games." I was like, "Cool." Like I had like actually Evelyn was the first person I ever played against. I had like a lot of fun. It was a cool game.
She's a good person to play in the beginning.
I was like,
She's a great
She
Yeah.
doesn't take it too seriously, so yeah, that's good to play against.
it was like all super fun, and like it was it's just like I just went to play more games because it's like it's so hard to organize and set up for like multiple games unless you have like an area or like a group that you're consistently playing with. And it's like cool to meet people from like different areas. Like I said, like I think that's the best part about it. Like, and also like real quick, tier list, like we're talking about this team needs to get fixed. Don't think that way. If you think that way, you're going to go into the game not having fun because you're like, oh, this team's just better than
They're
me.
just gonna beat me
Like
every
the
time.
way metas are created and broken are either like the companies that are like creating the games like take a heavy hand and like basically remake the teams or the games, or someone figures out something that no one else realized because they were too focused on the tier list, and then they storm everybody, then everyone plays that next. Like,
right, and then you find the new
that's what
counter
that's what I'm excited for. Like, someone's gonna find it. It's gonna be cool and it's gonna be exciting. I think maybe like now we talk about Legionnaires, maybe not, but like the whole point is like I don't know what that is. Maybe someone else does. I'm excited for someone at Worlds to just take like a figure out
Phobos wins.
the crew like.
Phobos good.
the
Phobos
elites
are really
that no
good.
one
I
else
think
is talking
Phobos are
about.
good. I think
Phobos
Phobos
are great.
good. I think they're really good.
Yeah. 7-inch movement is nuts, you know?
Yeah.
Don't sleep on 7-inch movement.
Yeah, they can get you. They can
Blades
alpha strike.
could you
pretty
imagine
quick.
if Blades of Cain won it?
I want to take Blades of Cain so bad. They're so fun.
Blades of Cain really need striking scorpions.
They need to have a tanky model.
They need to
on
give
their, on the
flyback
roster.
to their crit and fall back.
the Banshees?
That was nonsense. So that team didn't. They need to take that away. That was like one of the,
And then the Guardians got hit a little too hard too.
The Dire Avengers. The
Yeah,
Dire
the Dire
Avengers
Avengers, Dire
are actually
Avengers.
just
All
kind
right.
of got sideways.
let me get Dakotah angry about this team. You give them accurate. It's like the one thing you don't want on the Dire. Of all the abilities, you give them accurate. It's like the one thing you don't want. You're trying to fish for crits. The entire like basis of the shooting.
Right.
Right.
I don't want to have. Maybe it was just.
I still think accurate's great. No matter what anyone says,
it's
I
still
think
bad.
it's still not a bad one. You're not upset with it.
like, you're
I'm upset with
always
it.
hitting.
I'm upset with it.
You're always hitting, and I will always take any time that I don't have to roll a dice.
I feel like the team should be Dire Avengers are good at shooting. Banshees are good at melee, and Striking Scorpions are very good in the middle and good at holding positions.
Good at getting shot at.
So what I
and they can tank
saves,
it, you know, with a 3-up save.
So what I would love to see happen for Blades of Cain, in my opinion, and this is what should have happened.
We've gone from S tier to the bottom of the tier.
They're
list,
already
by the way.
they're already D tier. So let's just make them a tad bit better, right? So we have Striking Scorpions should have had a 6-inch move, not a 7-inch move, and a 3-up save.
Heavier armor.
Howling Banshees should have had an 8-inch move and a 5-up save. And Dire Avengers should have a 4-up save, or a 4-up save and a 7-inch move. It's
I don't
very
know about the 8-inch move.
very
I don't know if the
lore
inch move,
accurate.
that feels really strong. But yeah, I get you're right.
but
Lore
they have a
accurate.
5
Lore accurate.
so
lore accurate.
With fly,
they jump
you can
in,
go fly.
They
with the
jump
8-inch
in
move. Yeah.
and they die. That's what Howling Banshees have always done from like their inception.
That's true. They should just be
They
really good in
jump
melee,
in.
and that's where you want to survive is in melee.
They jump in and
Otherwise
then
you just die.
And sure, yeah, they have this huge threat range. They have an 11-inch threat range
They
on
have
the
a great
board.
plant beacon threat range.
Yeah, but
That's
the other
good.
crazy
Yeah.
thing, the other crazy thing about Howling Banshees is that that's how they functioned in Kill Team 2018.
Yeah.
You had an 11-inch charge move.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy, and you had to play around it. You had to
Play in
put
melee.
models in front of other models. I think I'd take away the fly because that's dumb.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah,
they
I could live with that if they
got rid of the fly.
because then you
Yeah.
suspend
I mean,
it to get
8
over
inch,
stuff.
I'm still like iffy. The 8 inch, that's a lot of
But you have to
movement.
get over stuff. See, because now that you don't fly, you don't just get over it.
Yeah.
Well, it's way,
automatically.
I mean, they can't do it with the fly. There's
Yeah.
no way with the fly.
Right, that's
Like,
what I mean.
it's
If you got
crazy.
rid of
Yeah,
fly and
yeah.
gave mate, I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
Because they still have to get over stuff. They got to
Yeah.
vault.
Yeah.
I'm okay with like the variety there. I think it makes it more like
it,
customized.
it makes the team way more interesting. You know,
Yeah.
it makes it.
I think they should have given the real quick Dire Avengers severe.
Yeah, I could see that. Severe.
Because then if you
accurate.
roll crits, it doesn't benefit you. But that's what you need. You need at least one crit to make those shots like viable. So it's like severe makes it like
or balanced or something.
balanced
right?
would have been
Balanced, I
totally
think, is fine, 'cause-
Totally
yeah.
fine with balanced. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Dire Avengers are still really good. You can move 9 inches in Torrent. You know, like the thing. But the problem is that the team, if we look at it, look at them statistically, on average, they score one of the highest average tac ops in the game. Right?
Plant beacons.
You
Yeah.
love playing beacons.
Three APM
I like that
models
you
of
like
plant
it.
beacons.
I
I
think that's
love
cool.
plant beacons.
Yeah. Then the
feels good, yeah.
the bad thing is that they score on average 1.83 crit ops in the game, which
Yeah.
is awful. Out of 6, 1.8 on average.
I do like how the game went from like only like horde teams score crit ops well to just like now
Legionnaires
just like
destroy
dominating.
them.
There's nothing
Yeah.
you could do. Yeah.
Yeah. And then their kill ops are also averaging at like 1.96,
Ooh, they're not.
which is also well below average, right? So that means that they're not killing stuff very efficiently or they're trading really inefficiently.
It's the 14 wound breakpoint. They already had issues last edition against elites. Like that was the hardest match.
And I actually think that's intentional. I think the Games Workshop intentionally wants Space Marines to wreck all Eldar, to be honest. I just think that they're still
They've
just
done a
too
good job with that.
Yeah, they sure have. It's there. That is actually impossible for them. An impossible hill for them to climb. If you see them drop, maybe Blades of Cain get better because like but the 14 wounds are
Corsairs
just
can
impossible.
beat elites.
They can.
They can. They
The
lose
power
really.
weapons, man. Yeah.
They lose really hard to Inquisition.
Glass cannon. That is
Dude,
a
they
glass
lose
cannon
Super,
team.
and in Warp Coven, yeah. Because
That
you're not
makes
really
sense.
an elite team. You just take 6 anglers, and now you're 1-for-1ing them. But your anglers are better than their guys, and their power weapons may not kill your dude. So
Yeah, that's rough.
yeah,
That's rough.
I like Corsairs. They're kind of cool.
They are.
They are kind of
They're
cool, right? The
badass.
pirates are cool. Yeah.
And so are Hand of the Archon.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be it from us today.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about some
Trying to
negativity and some stuff, but also some positivity. So hopefully you took away both. You know, we're very hopeful at the brightness of future of Kill Team.
It's the passion in our hearts is why
Yeah.
we're so like this.
And I think that we're training for such a competitive event that we're seeing a lot more of the problems in the game. But hopefully, the designers at the event will also see the issues.
I don't normally do this real quick. The people who design Kill Team are watching this. Good job with the new edition overall. Like obviously we're talking about things that need to be fixed, but I can't stress that enough. Like quality of life, like
Game is fun.
It's definitely fun. Like there's things that got to get figured out, but it's like I think that just the adoption of newer players, like there's so many less rules. It was so much easier to figure this out, even like deprogramming from the previous edition. So I like
Some
it.
of the rules are kind of difficult to find.
Some of the
jumping back and
wordings,
forth.
man, I don't know.
Some of them are.
I'm
That's
an
a different thing.
engineer, so I
The
screw up wording all
technical
the time,
writing of it
but
is a little
yeah.
wonky, but overall, I can make it work. We figured it out. We were able to decipher this Bible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything you guys want to shout out here at the end?
Oh my God, put on the spot.
Yeah.
Besides the creators of the game, you guys, obviously, thanks for having me. Super fun. Alex Popoff, because we have to do that.
He popped off.
And then, I don't know, I've been hanging out with like a lot of people lately. Got a joint Kel team. They've been pretty sweet. Talked to Mike Cortez a lot online. So all those guys, pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
How about you, G?
Well, you can find us and join the conversation on our Discord or our YouTube channel. If you're watching it there, you can join, write something in the comments. Tell us what you think. Check out the Hobby Highlander, another series that we do on YouTube. Check out the battle reports. We got those coming up. Get ready for Twitch. We got Worlds coming around, so, prepare for that. We'll see you there. That's going to be a big one. That's going to be a long one, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Shout out to the patrons for helping us out, and for the people just viewing it, because that also helps us out. And of course, you can find us on Instagram at squad_games_entertainment to get updates and things like that, in addition to the Discord. How about you?
If you guys want to help support the channel anymore, shout out to our patrons. And if that's out of your budget, if you already have an Amazon Prime subscription, consider throwing it our way on Twitch and giving us a subscription there. And if that's too much for you too, just go on down to that little like button, click the like button, maybe leave a little comment. But outside of that, I want to thank Games Workshop for allowing us to go to Worlds this year and stream. We're very excited for the opportunity and very excited that the community also gets to experience Worlds. It's a very fun and exciting event. The more that, the community gets to see that kind of world and that kind of stuff, hopefully it'll inspire more people to come to events so that you can meet us in person and you can meet more and more friends who enjoy something so much. Because it's not just about winning in Kill Team. It's about going out and meeting people who also just love Warhammer. You're going to a place that just people love the game, whether it's painting, whether it's the models, whether it's lore, whether it's rolling dice. You're going to find something in common with everyone that goes there. So shout out to the community and shout out to Games Workshop. And that's going to be it from us.
Yeah, hope to see you at LVO. And I'm going to stop